on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Stats Norsworthy.
How about it? It's the first of the month, Monday, August 1st, 2022, and you're checking in with Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. We're always live from the Family Leisure Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. I am former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn on Twitter at G_Kuhn71. Producing the program is our man, the myth, the legend. He is Brian Dacus on Twitter at Bryant_Dacus. Brian, how's it going?
Pretty well. Start of another month, so that means I don't know what it means. It means another month.
Okay, understood.
I heard someone say today that they were going to start working out because it was the beginning of the month. I didn't know we were doing that now. I thought that was
an
just
August
a January
resolution.
thing. Yeah, I thought that was just a January thing. So I was thinking of like an August resolution I could have. I got nothing.
Okay, if a New Year's resolution only lasts like 2 weeks, how long does an August resolution
A day.
take? Maybe a day or two. And my partner does pre and post for the Ole Miss Football Radio Network. He is Brett Stats Norsworthy on Twitter at Brett Norsworthy. Brett, how are you? How was your weekend?
It was great. New day, new week, new month. I'm ready. And in this month, we will have high school football games that count, college football games that count, and
This
NFL
week.
preseason games that don't count.
This week, though.
This week.
I'm
All
hyped.
eyes on Canton.
Well, but there's a lot of
Home of the Canton Bulldogs.
It seems like there's a lot else going on in the NFL right now, huh? Seems like there's other storylines outside of actual
but it's
preseason
going to move to
ball.
all on the field, and I am ready for that.
Yeah. Now, first off, our show brought to you by Lexus of Memphis, and we do have a bunch to get to, including, you guessed it, Deshaun Watson, the 6-game suspension that was handed down by Judge Sue L. Robinson. We will have plenty of discussion on that. Also, we have some news notes from NFL training camps, including Deebo Samuel's extension. He finally gets what he wants. MLB news, trade deadline eve, some big names that have already been moved. And we're still waiting to see if that gargantuan name actually gets moved, that one in Washington where the Cardinals were this whole weekend, that Juan Soto guy. We'll see if he gets moved. I have heard that the Shohei Ohtani stuff has slowed down drastically, and the Angels are going to retain him.
It's pretty much died, yeah.
Yeah. Also, Millennial Monday around 4:45, Taco Bell Crunch Time around 5:45. Only 2 guests today, 4 o'clock. David Cobb joins us from CBS Sports just to discuss some college football and some college basketball. 5 o'clock, Tom Ackerman joins us from KMOX to talk about the Cardinals, the MLB, and the trade deadline in general. He's from the Cardinals Network. Now, before we get into the Deshaun Watson stuff, first I have to give you the AutoZone listener line. 901-360-8255, get in the zone, AutoZone. Hit us up, questions, comments, concerns about anything we discuss. Then also watch us live and message us on our social, Sports 56 WHBQ, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and go to our website, sports56whbq.com. But before I get into the Deshaun Watson stuff today, sort of the nastiness around that, we do have to bid farewell to a absolute positive legend in the sport of basketball and as an activist in general. Bill Russell passed away yesterday at the age of 88. Next to his widow now, said he passed away peacefully. But you think about some of the legends that we have had in various sport, to be there during the civil rights movement, to still, in a tough city of Boston when it comes to racial relations that we've even seen here in the 21st century, to win the way he did. Bill Russell, 11 championships in 13 seasons, 5-time MVP, 12-time All-Star, Finals MVP trophies named after him, 2 national championships at San Francisco, first black NBA head coach, won 2 championships as a head coach. One of the longest
gold medal.
Yeah, gold medal. One of the longest, most impressive on-court resumes, but when you think about off-court, it's longer, and to be honest, his off-court legacy as an activist, the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2011, the off-court accomplishments outweigh anything he did on the court.
And the first great NBA analyst that I ever heard. I do not remember the bulk of his end of his career. I think his career ended after the 68-69 season. And about 1970 is kind of the first NBA moments for me. But he was so good on TV with that laugh, with that just so just would draw in a crowd, just so much fun, and his technical knowledge of the sport with Keith Jackson, who is kind of pigeonholed as Mr. College Football. He was great at so much. Keith Jackson was a great baseball announcer, and he was so good with Bill Russell on the NBA Game of the Week, then on ABC. And that's kind of what I knew him from. He even tried another swing at coaching after the analyst role, I think, with the Supersonics. It didn't go very well and didn't go nearly as well as it did as player coach of his beloved Boston Celtics. That college career he had for the San Francisco Dons. And remember, a few weeks ago when we were doing the Mount Rushmore of San Francisco, I said, could Bill Russell be considered? And we talked about it, and he sure could. And I think he's sure there in Boston. And the activism at a time that was not easy with other stars of the game, largely with Jim Brown, one of the bigger stars of all of sport, and Muhammad Ali for sure was right there. Lou Alcindor, then later Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yep. And honestly, when we talk about the NBA and we talk about activism and we talk about guys during that time who really stepped up, it was Kareem and him. That's really the guys I remember at the very top. Just the deep thinkers, leaders, scholars, wrote books upon books that are still out there for you to go read if you'd like.
I think both have been honored here with the Legacy Award from the Hyde Foundation around the National Civil Rights Game. I know Kareem has. I'm pretty sure Bill Russell has. If he hadn't, that's a big miss, but I think he has. I have to check that. But he was bigger than life, quite literally and figuratively, and at a time in a tough city to do what he did and how he did it. Gabe, he was so good that they didn't start the MVP of the finals award until after his retirement. Yep. He would have won that thing about 6 or 7 times.
Oh, his resume in 13 years in the NBA is like scary. It's scary. 11 championships in 13 years.
Gabe,
12 All-Stars in 13 years.
You know who drafted him? Out of
the St. Louis Hawks.
The St. Louis Hawks, and in a deal for Easy Ed McCauley, who was a great player. Red Auerbach pulled that one off.
But it's unbelievable to think about.
And they played in finals.
From
St. Louis and Boston.
From an on-court perspective, like 2 championships at San Francisco, and then goes into the NBA.
I think back-to-back undefeated.
Like, honestly, could we one of the best, if not the best winner of all time in the NBA.
Adam Silver in his official statement, and it reads so nicely,
of course,
and so sincerely. And he called him sports' greatest team champion ever, and I don't know how that would be argued.
Yeah, and I think one of the best rebounders by far,
shot blockers
in the NBA's history. He was ridiculous. I mean, I think he averaged in his career 22 rebounds per game. That's ridiculous.
How he could run the floor, how he could jump in, and how when he would block shots, it wasn't trying to send it into the 9th row and see how loud a woo he could get. He would block it almost strategically to one of his men, and gave it why it highlights, I think, how crass and really unnecessary. And I know it got a lot of laughs from a few weeks back or a few months back when J.J. Redick took the swipe at Bob Cousy, because Bob Cousy was right there side by side to great Bill Russell for almost every one of those championships. Let's be careful trashing the past.
Yes, because you group a big.
Great point.
That's a lot of people you're grouping into one category, and you're cornering.
I mean, I bet you J.J. Redick wouldn't walk up to any of the Russell family today and say he did it against firemen and plumbers.
Yeah, I know. I understand. It's that type of argument. That type of argument you hear very constantly. And I do think over the generations we have progressed substantially. And there's better athletes. They get paid more. They don't have to hold 2 jobs. And that's a good thing. And that's because of the guys before J.J. Redick that paved the way for that to happen. So
And J.J. Redick doesn't realize this, but one of these days, he's going to be 60-something years old. And he's going to go back to Duke, and nobody will know who he is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's how it happens. No, but I'll tell you this: but Bill Russell will never be forgotten. There's just no chance.
And on those games of the week with Keith Jackson, you knew they were having fun, and you could really watch and learn something from them.
And I really wish that, obviously being young, not being able to see Bill Russell in his entirety during his coaching career, during his playing career, during his analyst career. Like that, looking back at it, hearing all the stories from the older generation, that sucks. I mean, it's
hit the YouTube machine tonight, and you'll go down. You'll go down the rabbit hole tonight, and not be able to come out.
In that regard, I've seen plenty. But people talk about his laugh and what he used to do as an analyst, and I definitely miss that. I definitely miss that.
He was something in that city of champions up in Boston that we've talked about. Just so many legendary figures.
And I'm not trying to cast aspersions on the city of Boston by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, some of the books that Bill Russell has written talking about the city of Boston as how it is as a racial city. We've heard what Kyrie Irving has had to say. We've heard what multiple NBA players have said about the city of Boston. For him to stick out a 13-year career with the same team in the city of Boston, that was not easy, but he made it look easy.
Gabe, so well said. And if they did a Mount Rushmore or a Big Four of the toughest people to ever play sports there, I don't think he would have a peer. I mean, it'd be him, and that would be it, because those times and how he handled it and never lashed out, remarkable.
and stood at the forefront, like when it came to race relations in this country during the civil rights movement, and he led. He didn't hide behind anything. It was never veiled who he was. That's another thing that's interesting about him, because like you look even into the future, like after him, like a guy like Michael Jordan, a guy like him, never really stood in the forefront of social issues, never wanted to do that, is one of the greats, but it's not for everybody. But Bill Russell and Kareem, those guys, in just an impossible time to navigate those waters, did it.
Well, sometimes the times call you, and in Michael Jordan's case, it's never easy. The fight's never over. It always goes on.
It wasn't the same fight. I'll give you that.
But it wasn't the same fight.
He had some things he could have stepped up for and advocated for, in his home state of North Carolina.
But Russell did it, and I want to say somewhere in all this I've read that he was maybe not Olympian, but was a renowned high jumper.
I wouldn't doubt it. But passed away at 88, and we'll never forget Bill Russell. And also,
with that, I saw this. So we know before his passing yesterday, he was American sports' greatest living team champion.
Right.
We're not talking about Tiger Woods and individual sports. We're talking about team champion.
Right.
Who is it today? Who does that mantle get passed to?
In sports in general.
In general. Gretzky?
Team? For Gretzky?
Mm-hmm.
He was on a bunch of different ones. He was on a bunch of different ones, and he was the individual on all those teams, in my opinion.
But it's a team sport.
Right. This may not come across the right way to some people. Tom Brady?
Sure has to be considered. I don't know why it wouldn't come across right to people.
Well, because
Michael Jordan.
Because people like to think of Tom Brady as a little bit more than he is in regards
Big
to
game
a
Bob
singular
Orry.
guy. A singular guy on a team.
With all those titles, Tim Duncan would be mentioned. Kobe.
Tim Duncan,
Kobe's not allowed. I'm sorry. But great champions.
Yes. Now, we already have had
Magic,
remembrance.
Kareem.
A lot of remembrance.
Kareem and all those college championships.
Mm-hmm. But Giants and Red Sox last night, held moments of silence. I'd imagine this is going to continue throughout the week, and it's very, very deserved.
And I don't know when the Red Sox play at home again, but the Red Sox, they do, and especially under the John Henry leadership, they do ceremony so very sincerely and so very well. I will bet you at some point on the night that they honor Bill Russell at Fenway Park, I bet it'll be that ceremonial draping of number 6 over the monster, because the Red Sox get it on big moments like that. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-334-9673. Walk in and say Happy August at Lexus of Memphis. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2022 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at LexusOfMemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
And that has to do with Deshaun Watson and his 6-game suspension. He will not be fined. Sue Robinson ruled that he violated the league's personal conduct policy, but there was not enough evidence to justify an indefinite suspension, which is what the NFL was seeking. Also, Judge Robinson ruled that there will be no massage therapy outside club-provided or club-approved massages. I think that's a smart thing to do there. But the ruling, in the end of the day, I thought a lot of people think it should have been longer. The NFL thinks it should have been longer. They wanted an indefinite suspension. The NFLPA was arguing the other side of the thing, and it looks like it's leaned in the NFLPA's direction here. But the ruling relied on 32 previous suspensions under the league's personal conduct policy since 2015. In 21 of those cases, the league suspended the player for 6 games, including cases of Darius Geis, Johnny Manziel, Greg Hardy, for his domestic violence was only suspended 4 games. The previous precedent is the truth here. It's the thing that ruined the NFL's case to get an indefinite suspension. They have, in the past, gone light on people. And she also called Deshaun Watson's behavior, Judge Robinson, nonviolent sexual conduct. In every single example in the NFL's policy of punishing people for nonviolent sexual conduct, no one in league history has been suspended for more than 6 games. So the NFL wanted to change the precedent, but the precedent's already been set in Judge Robinson's eyes.
And Gabe, there's the whole issue around something that's not in violation of the law, even falling under the NFL's purview. A case could be made that, look, if it's not law a law offense, if you haven't broken the law, and then why except for the PR optics of it?
And the truth of the matter with this one, obviously it's precedent, but it also comes down, if you want an indefinite suspension and want to throw someone out without a criminal allegation, you have to have evidence. And in this case, it just looks like the NFL didn't provide enough evidence in the grand scheme of these things, and they just don't have much of it.
That's right. Not a single charge in front of 2 separate grand juries. That's my top story. It's top story in American sports today. One thing that would work against Wayne Gretzky is he didn't do most of that title winning on an American team. Mm-hmm. That would go against him, because I did say the biggest champion now in American sports. That would hurt. But my top story, a former federal judge that was mutually agreed to by both sides, has rendered her decision. 23 out of 24 cases resolved. 2 separate grand juries, both passed, no charges filed, 6-game suspension. Play ball. And remember, it's really 23 games, because he missed all of last year as well. It was lurid behavior. Everybody knows that. But I think he has been punished. He's been traded. He has a public image now to rebuild that may not ever be able to be there, to be rebuilt. But it sounds like week 7, he's going to be on the field at Baltimore. And as far as I'm concerned, unless the NFL does something differently, and they can in this next 3 days, appellate, play ball. And we talk about it on the field.
Not top story of the day.
Now, he will miss 6 games, and of those games, it'll be at Panthers, Jets, Steelers, at Falcons, Chargers, and then Patriots. So, obviously, the Browns are going to try to stay afloat until he can get back. My not top story of the day, the NBA, when it comes down to their offseason, where we're at, you always get the yearly tampering probes. All these damn tampering probes. They've opened these up, and obviously you're not allowed to make contact with free agents, guys on the open market, until 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern on June 30th. But obviously you had the P.J. Tucker news come down really soon with the 76ers. There was always the things with James Harden, Danwell House, about them signing and having something figured out before that window actually opened up. But the NBA has opened up tampering probes versus the 76ers for those 3 signings, and then the Knicks because of Jalen Brunson. because we knew about Jalen Brunson ahead of time. You should have known about tampering when Rick Brunson got hired as the assistant coach, sitting next to Tom Thibodeau. You knew where that was going to end.
Oh, what a coincidence.
And it just cracks me up that they open these things because in the end of the day, this tampering probe, you know what it leads to? No suspensions. It's going to lead to a fine that the team's going to be able to pay off very, very easily, and maybe a couple of other things. But mostly they're going to have to pay money for violating tampering. It just seems like a whole lot made about nothing when we get to these tampering probes in the offseason.
You know, on the tampering front across sports, there's no rules. Just let it fly, because it's almost impossible to prove, and especially a father and son potential conversation.
Yeah, and I just, and also like with James Harden was already on the 76ers, and they're trying to, oh, well, you shouldn't have been negotiating before the June 30th window. What are you talking about? We had to get an extension done. He's on the team.
This is a question not at the end of the sentence, not a period.
Right.
And I'm not going conspiracy. Do you think this is the NBA having a good time at Daryl Morey's expense?
Nah, I don't think so. They do this every offseason to whoever supposedly had something in the works before that window opens up for free agency. And it's just, it never ends in anything. Nothing ever really happens with these situations, but they have to expose them for whatever reason.
My top story, the weekend at Live. I don't know how it could have come off worse. Bad golf, protesters, Barkley, Trump, team play, and Pat Perez, who hadn't broken an egg in his 2 Live appearances. He's come out with $975,000, and he's 12 over par. He's living off the team competition. But the great thing about Pat Perez, up front, he says, It's all about the cash with me. I don't care. I'm not trying to build the game. He shot 80 in the first tournament and won $900,000. And also for the protesters. Trump said we never got to the bottom of 9/11. The 9/11 protesters are saying that the Saudi royal family were directly involved. Gabe, we've had commissions and blue ribbon studies in this country over everything. Had the Warren Commission study President Kennedy's assassination. We had the Tower Commission study arms for hostages during the Reagan years. There was no commission that's ever been more unassailable. You could not challenge them on a semicolon than that 9/11 commission. They were the oracle. I mean, you were the worst person on earth if you just kind of deigned to, hey, what about this with the 9/11 commission? And you know what the 9/11 commission said about 9/11? Saudi royal family had nothing to do with it.
Live golf, though, as a whole, this weekend
was that a disaster?
Yes. It was a disaster. It
was
embarrassing.
Pure D joke with clowns involved. I would tell the former president this, and it happened to me. Sir, you're better served never wearing a white shirt.
It's true. You know, and his swing's pretty ugly too. I saw a lot of those.
It's too much going on.
Yes, but
you know my theory on white shorts. Way too much can go wrong.
Who ended up winning? Did anybody know?
I think Henrik Stenson, didn't he?
Good old Henrik. Okay,
he was leading. I don't know if he won.
I got you. Matthew Wolf was up there as well.
He was.
Yeah.
Pat Perez, 46 years old, said, "Give me the cash."
I got to be honest. There's a lot of people I know that have gone to YouTube and watched it. Bryant watched the first week. I don't know if you've been watching as much lately.
Well, statistically, a lot haven't.
But I haven't watched a second, and I don't care to.
I won't.
I don't even. It's.
If it was being played in my front yard, I wouldn't go.
It's not good golf. I mean, it's good names, but it's not good golf. It's a team setting. It's shotgun starts 54 holes. It just doesn't really.
It's a joke.
It doesn't excite me. It really.
It's a Tuesday afternoon corporate hit and giggle.
But also from a joke standpoint, it's providing some real issues to the actual golf that we watch. It really is. There's some bad issues that it's bringing up, and the PGA Tour, of course, has been sort of in that reactionary mode, and they've done it again, and we'll talk about that later in the show as well. That'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Now, of course, the top story for both of us was the Deshaun Watson news and the 6-game suspension that has been handed down by Sue L. Robinson, who is an independent contracted attorney or judge for the NFL and the NFLPA. Now, there's a lot of other sort of precedents that we have to talk about, news that we have to talk about with it. And then we have to look at if the NFL is going to appeal or not. The NFLPA has said that they challenge the NFL not to appeal, but the NFL has said that they may exhaust all avenues if it comes to that. We'll discuss that when we come back right here on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Do you have nightmares about your finances? Are you struggling to save for emergencies? Are you wanting to buy a home and not sure how to get the funds to do so? Well, it's time to get a handle on your finances with a personalized session with Nicasia, your money coach and certified personal financial counselor with Tate Enterprise. She is available to help you create your vision of financial freedom. It all starts by booking your session today at NicasiaTate.com. That's NAKASIA Tate.com.
Memphis's oldest restaurant, Coletti's, was established in 1923 to give Memphians the best Italian food possible. And after 99 years, I'd say they got it right. They are the creators of the barbecue pizza. It was Elvis's favorite, and I know for a fact that a large will feed one person all weekend. If you need to feed several, though, Coletti's caters any event. Choose from homemade lasagna, ravioli, Alfredo, primavera, and so many other delicious items you can't help but enjoy. Impress employees or clients and treat them to Coletti's for lunch or dinner. Plan ahead and get your holiday party booked at Coletti's. Elvis's favorite place to go eat with his buddies at the South Parkway location, and Coletti's even has an Elvis room dedicated to him. Call Coletti's on South Parkway at 948-7652 or Appling Road at 383-1122. Coletti's. It was Elvis's favorite, and it should be yours too.
Attention homeowners, energy efficiency regulations are changing in 2023. New heating and cooling systems may rise drastically in price. If your HVAC system is old or inefficient, now is the time to buy from Conway Services with outstanding financing options and savings up to $2,600. Conway Services is ready to save you money and give you comfort. Call 384-3511 or visit conwayservices.net to schedule your appointment today. License number is 64210, 64365, EAS MS 19668.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show. Right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises. In the alley since 1948, Mr. Charlie Virgo's world-famous Rendezvous. John, you and your family continue the great work at the Rendezvous. Next year will be the 75th birthday party. Let's start the party now.
Brett, there are so many visitors in town to watch the emerging Grizzlies and to see our great sights and sounds in Memphis. I see them all the time at the restaurant. I want them to know Memphis is a great foodie town. There are so many family-owned, locally owned great restaurants that have stood the test of time. I won't mention all because the list is too long and I don't want to leave anybody out, but I will mention Jim's Place place grill because my cousins own it. It's a great restaurant, and they've stood the test of time. And they are this year celebrating their 100th anniversary. And of course, any visitor that comes to Memphis needs to eat barbecue. And I've said this before, there's great barbecue all over Memphis. I know because I eat it. But if you just have one night to eat barbecue in Memphis, it should be the Rendezvous. It's such a special place with a special staff. And by the way, next year we will be celebrating our 75th anniversary.
The world-famous Rendezvous, serving Memphis in the Mid-South and with the shipping serving the world.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
Open the door, sit in the seat, turn the key, and go.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brent Norsworthy.
So instead of an indefinite 17-game suspension, the NFL gets 6 games because Judge Sue L. Robinson, who they hired, the NFL and NFLPA jointly hired to look at this case, says 6 games is the precedent. And who would have thunk, Brett, that the former precedents, the precedents that have been set in the NFL, were going to come back and haunt them in this case? I think everybody, honestly, because we've looked at how arbitrary some of these rulings have been by Judge, Jury, Commissioner Roger Goodell. It just
like
seemed
Deflategate.
Exactly. 4 games for Deflategate, 6 games for Zeke Elliott when there was no evidence that he actually committed domestic violence, and it wasn't a criminal charge. We have the big Ben Roethlisberger issue. Greg Hardy getting 4 games for something that was absolutely disgusting. The only times that he has really thrown the hammer down is when there's actual physical evidence on video. You look at the Ray Rice situation, the Kareem Hunt situation. Those are the only times that the NFL has really handed down severe punishments. But if there's not physical proof and evidence, they seem to sit there at about 6 games, 4 to 6 games.
And this retired federal judge, she was mutually agreed to by both parties. The Players Association yesterday got out in front of it and said they would not appeal, that whatever it was, that they would live with.
When I saw that, by the way, and just side note, when I saw them put that statement out, didn't you think that, okay, this is not going to be much as far as a punishment is concerned? If they're saying it right now, because if it was indefinite, if it was indefinite, they would have definitely appealed. Absolutely, positively would have. And they would have cited the Robert.
I thought about it yesterday, but that's a good point.
But they would have cited the Robert Kraft situation. They would have cited a bunch of different Jerry Jones, a bunch of different situations.
But now, forever, Gabe, we collectively as the public, we wanted it out of, as you described it, judge, jury, and decider out of Roger Goodell's hands. Well, it was.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how the NFL, I don't know how the vaunted shield gets criticism.
I'll say this. How much – so it's not judge, jury, executioner Roger Goodell. It's out of his hands. But if we're referring to the old precedents, wasn't it basically still in his hands?
It's 100%. It was agreed to. It was collectively bargained that way.
Right. And I just – it's interesting to me. And, you look at the ruling in the previous precedents, 32 previous suspensions under the league's personal conduct policy since 2015. 21 of those cases, league suspended the player for 6 games regardless of it. She called his behavior nonviolent sexual conduct. No one in league history has been suspended more than 6 games for nonviolent sexual conduct. I'll say this. At first I thought it would be longer, but I told you I thought this was going to be somewhere between 4 to 8 games. You did. Split the difference. I saw this coming, but it still doesn't sit right with me in a lot of ways because I know he's a serial offender, and I know there's clearly something behind the scenes that has to be worked out before we can really trust Deshaun Watson as a whole off the field. This was 66 different masseuses saying really the same thing, 24, 25, 26, bringing cases forward. This is a serious matter that needs to be addressed in the camp of Deshaun Watson. This is very there's a problem here. There's an obvious problem here that needs to be addressed.
Do you put much stock in 17 games last year time served?
I a little bit, but at the same time, this is egregious. This is something in the NFL, I don't know if we've seen this quantity of sexual assault, misconduct violations. This These are astronomical numbers. These are like 24 right now. And I believe, and I just found this out today, he had 4 remaining cases. 3 of them have been settled. So he only has 1 open case on in the civil lawsuits. And one of the cases he ended up settling was with Ashley Solis, who was the first woman to go public, first woman to speak about her allegations with Tony Busby. So I thought that was an interesting thing.
What do you think that Watson Camp's saying to Rusty Hardin? Whatever you do, don't say a word.
Just shut up. Stop
Go
talking.
hide.
Stop talking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Leave
Literally.
the country.
Well, honestly, he's probably got plenty of people, lawyers, litigators under him that can do the job. Let them do it. Let them talk because he threw the whole case.
I'm with you on.
He threw the whole case for a loop. This first half of 2022.
But let's try as best we can to put ourselves into Team Deshaun Watson camp as best we can. Now, we would like to think we wouldn't have behaved like that, but as best we can, right. let's put ourselves there. No charges and two grand juries pass.
Right, you feel like he's innocent and you've done the right thing to try to clear his name. No, I get it. I completely understand. And also, I've said it too. We've said it earlier in the show. There's a lack of evidence. There's a few texts here and there. But when it comes down to what he's being accused of... We almost have to have
video now, don't we?
Yeah, but what he's being accused of, there's just not all that much in the way of evidence. And it's hard to really come down hard on someone when it's just he said, she said. It just becomes tough.
Well, it's he said and 24 she's. A mountain
and then the
New
York Times reporting 66 different masseuses in a year span.
Right.
So it's more than just the 24 or 25, whatever.
That's right. It never ends with just the kind of the public number. It's always more serial, as you said.
You want to know why it just doesn't sit right with me? Because I just feel like, and I know the precedent in the past in the NFL has been very inconsistent. It's arbitrary. It makes no sense. But Calvin Ridley gets a full year, and Deshaun Watson gets 6 games. Calvin Ridley placed 1 parlay on the NFL and gets 17 games worth of suspension.
Incredible.
Right? And then the Deflategate, when we found out that the balls weren't even deflated in that game. 4 games for that.
And that Andrew Luck liked playing with deflated footballs as much as anyone. It was to his benefit.
And Deshaun Watson gets 6 games.
That troublemaker Bob Kravitz, the columnist of the Indianapolis Star, caused all that story and caused a lot of it because of the hatred for Brady and Belichick. And he wanted Andrew Luck to win badly in Indianapolis.
Only 2 less games, though, for an offense that is not. It was nothing. It was made up. It was completely made up. It was garbage, and they beat the Colts 45-0. And Deshaun
Colts
Watson
played most of the second half, knowing that the ball these balls are deflated. It's not right.
4 games for slightly deflated balls. 6 games for 25 civil suits accusing a guy of sexual misconduct and sexual assault.
Now the parameters around NFL justice has changed since then too. That it's under a new set of things. Gabe, I'm asking as a friend and want to do this cooperatively. When will you, or do you even, like right now? I'm sorry, I'm throwing this on you. When do you want to get to the football aspect of it? When do you want to get to those 6 games without Deshaun Watson, and then those 11 games with him, starting if it holds at this in Baltimore against the Ravens?
In a moment, after we talk about the NFL appeal, the NFL. So the NFLPA says they're not going to appeal.
Let's go W's and L's for the Brownies.
But the NFL, and I hate to laugh at that. It is kind of morbid, but it is what it is.
I do. And that's why I ask it that way, because I don't want to be insensitive about this.
You've been very fair. Now I'll say this: the NFL. Do you think they need to appeal? Like, should they appeal?
PR optics wise in Gabe,
that's
in
where I'd say
hashtag Me Too world, yes.
Yeah.
Because do you and you can talk to anybody in sports. Anybody in sports, you know what the market that is boom time in team stores where it's targeted to? The females.
Yeah.
That's where people are you go in the Cardinal team store and most of the merchandise is for children or for women. and that's where the next great target audience is out there for in all of sport is with the female voter, with the female fan.
Yeah.
Do you want to make them this mad right here on the eve of the season?
I'll say this. There's two things. I think from a PR standpoint, they need to appeal. And I said, what was it, a month ago, and I said they're going to do this thing where they want the big old suspension. They don't get it. They'll appeal and say they tried, and it'll still be the same suspension. That's what I called from the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, not from the beginning, but sort of middle. It's been over the long haul.
You've been more consistent than I have. I've had every punishment.
But I do think with that, yes, PR would be something you need to attack if you're the NFL and you're Roger Goodell. The other part of this, how mad is Jimmy Haslam, one of his bosses, basically, one of Roger Goodell's bosses, going to be? That's going to be an uncomfortable situation behind closed doors if he does decide to appeal the Deshaun Watson case.
Well, Jim Haslam, meet Bob Kraft. I mean, that unless you can get enough people to fire him, he makes the decisions. He runs the league. You love him in good times. You love him when he's, tripling these TV deals and he's increasing these team values. And you saw the list this weekend of all the team values for all 32 teams, and the Cowboys out there at $7 billion. $7 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 7 point. It was higher than that.
Okay. Yeah.
7.6, I think.
So you can't just love Goodell in the good times if you're Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think for the NFL, I think it needs to happen just for the pure case of PR. And you argue, you're going to argue in go ahead.
A minister friend one time told me, he goes, when we pray, he can say no.
Right. But they could.
And we're not ever ready for that.
They could appeal, and I think that it could just be the same exact thing. But I think if you're the NFL, you argue, we want to make it a different day. These things are not going to fly in this day and age of the NFL. And you also need to argue that this is the pure quantity of this thing. The pure quantity lends itself to different treatment. And again, it has to do with evidence, and you probably will still end up on 6 to 8 games if you appeal. But at least you give the guys, you can let it fall under the guise of we tried. We tried to do the right thing in this situation.
Have you watched very much Brown's campsite news?
A little bit.
Great.
A little bit here and there. It seems like they're in weirdly high spirits, even though there's a lot of distractions going on. It's kind of uncomfortable.
But that locker room, that building, they have to have that front, don't they? They have to have. Let's move on and play ball.
The fans out there. Have you seen?
It's packed.
It's packed, and they're signing autographs. Everybody's excited. Everybody seems very comfortable around Deshaun Watson in a weird way. It's just it seems like nothing has gone wrong at Browns camp. Seems like they've tried to avoid most of the distraction, which is crazy.
So we know who the starter will be week 1 now, don't we?
Jacoby Brissett. So what do we think? We got at Panthers, Jets, Steelers, at Falcons, Chargers, Patriots.
You dream of 3-3, don't you? Anything above that?
I think 3-3, 4-2 is possible. I think you bottom out at 2-4.
Low as 2-4, and can still win the division with his return.
Plenty of time. 11 games.
October 23rd.
Get 11 games with Deshaun Watson. And it's not, Panthers, very winnable game. Jets, very winnable game. Steelers, even though
at home.
Even though they're really it'll be a Thursday night game. Even though the Steelers historically are good, they're the same division. Steelers are not that. They don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. That's
the dog pound.
The Falcons going to be a winnable game, but then the Chargers, Patriots, those are the two that you look at and you say, okay, I don't know how winnable they're going to be with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback.
That's the easiest portion of the Browns' schedule, is the portion that Jacoby Brissett will be the starter, because if Deshaun Watson's back for that Ravens game, October 23rd, back-to-back weeks, it's Ravens and Bengals in the division.
Yeah.
And then road trips to Miami and Buffalo.
And let's just say it how it is. This is a terrifying team with Deshaun Watson stepping in there at quarterback. Terrifying team. Top to bottom, great roster. Top 5 roster in the NFL.
Could be this year's Bengals.
I think a better roster than the Bengals had last year. O-line's better.
Gabe.
You have a great running back and two great running backs.
Nick
Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Mm-hmm. And they even showed if Dearness Johnson has to go 1 week, he'll run for 100 yards. David Njoku at tight end back healthy.
And
defensively, yeah, Myles Garrett, they got Clowney back, even though we'll see what happens with Clowney if he's any good. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, their second-round draft pick from last year. That defensive,
Kevin Stefanski can
the backfield.
coach.
Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, they have some dudes all over that, all over the field. Like you could say, okay, they'll be the. And I get the comparison because you're talking about the AFC North, and you're talking about a team that's going from not in the playoffs to being a Super Bowl contender. But I think from a talent standpoint, they trump everything the Bengals had last year.
Oh, I don't. Especially when they get Deshaun Watson back,
Right.
They are much better on paper than really the Bengals at any point last year. Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel. Go yard all summer long with $5 Dinger Tuesdays. Tomorrow night can be your night at FanDuel Sportsbook. This season, all customers will get $5 for every home run hit by both teams when you place a $25 to hit a home run wager on Tuesday night Major League Baseball games. And the best part about Dinger Tuesdays is that even if your bet loses, FanDuel will pay you $5 for every home run. Tomorrow night, Cardinals, Cubs, Busch Stadium. Will it be new players there for the Cardinals? Will Juan Soto be a Cardinal tomorrow night? I don't know about that, but Paul Goldschmidt will be. Take him for your Dinger Tuesday player. So what are you waiting for? Pick your home run hitter and turn big swings into big wins. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than on America's #1 sportsbook. Head over to your FanDuel account or download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using promo code CASH. That's promo code CASH. Must be 21 and older. Present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit. That expires in 7 days. Max bonus, $25. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
We will have more NFL to talk, whether it's training camp, Deebo Samuel's contract, around 4:30. We have to get to a break, and we're going to switch gears when we come back. When we come back, we have to catch you up on the trade deadline. It is trade deadline eve. After all, we have some breaking news. We have some news that happened over the weekend. We get it all to you coming up next on Sports 56, 98.5.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's been said that the world always looks brighter from behind a smile. So why not let my friend, Dr. Mehdi Sadeghi, and his friendly staff at the Smile Center Memphis help brighten up your world. The Smile Center is a local family dentistry located in Germantown, specializing in cosmetic crown veneers, teeth whitening, and Invisalign clear braces, all with free consultation and second opinions. New patients are welcome, and if you don't have dental insurance, don't frown. They have an in-office plan to fit your specific needs. Same-day emergency service available as well. Give Mehdi a call, 309-1333, or visit their website at smilecentermemphis.com.
In the wee hours of the night, when everyone else is fast asleep, you're the one on third shift, burning the midnight oil. When a part fails and everything comes to a grinding halt, regardless of what the clock on the wall says, you leap into action. Grainger is with you and all the ones who get it done. With 24/7 customer support by phone or click to chat. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
When I was in Iraq, our convoy was hit. It was bad. After I came home, I could still hear booms and see tracer fire. Makes it hard to be a good mom.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Naomi Mathis, Air Force veteran.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
With help from DAV, I was able to begin to heal.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Today, I'm part of DAV. We're veterans helping veterans to get the benefits they've earned. And I give my veterans my all.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
My victory is being able to be here for my children.
Naomi Mathis, thank you for your service. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
Absolutely spectacular design, spared no expense.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
We do have a couple of texts. AutoZone listener line, 901-360-8255 on the Deshaun Watson situation. Hit us up. Questions, comments, concerns. Get in the zone, AutoZone. We do have a text saying that this is all a joke and this dude is going to flame out fast. We'll see about that. I mean, he's a great player. Now, flame out fast on the field is a different conversation. If you think the allegations and what has happened and transpired these past 2 years will flame out fast, I'll say I tend to disagree with that. I think this is going to be a long-lasting memory of Deshaun Watson. Somebody else says that this was calculated and the Texans knew what they were doing in leaking this information. Oh, okay, I mean that's one way to look at it. I don't fall into that boat. What's wrong is wrong, and if someone did something wrong in getting massages the way that Deshaun Watson has been alleged, it's on Deshaun Watson. And I know that the Texans tried to get all those 30 masseuses. They paid them off very quickly. I mean, they settled quickly with the women that alleged that of them. But this is a Deshaun Watson thing. Somebody else says, honest question, do you think anybody cares about the suspension? Seems like the media keeps it going while fans simply want football. He'll be forgiven as soon as he takes the field. We'll see. Forgiven. I listen. With these things, yes, a lot of people forget when people start winning, people start forgetting about their past issues and everything else. But this one, let's say Deshaun Watson goes on, MVP caliber season, offensive player of the year type season, wins a Super Bowl. You know that there's still going to be discussion about what transpired these past 2 years. There's nothing that you can do to possibly avoid it. And that's why from the whole beginning, the inception of everything, when Deshaun Watson wanted to say, I'm just trying to clear my name. Deshaun, that's not possible. You're never going to fully clear your name from what this was and what has transpired here. So there is that. If you want to hit us up, 901-360-8255. Now, trade deadline. We have some breaking stuff going on. I'm going to sort of go in order is what I'm going to try to do. Now, I did say on Friday I thought Luis Castillo would be the first one out. And Luis Castillo was the first one out to the Mariners. And that rotation now, I know Bryant's over there. That's his AL team. I know he's a Cardinals fan, but his AL team is the.
I like what the Mariners are doing.
That rotation: Logan Gilbert, Robbie Ray, Luis Castillo, and then as sort of fourth and fifth, Chris Flexen, Marco Gonzalez. I mean, that's
dirty rotation.
That's top 3 to top 5 in the MLB easily.
If they can get out of that 2 out of 3 series, the Mariners can really be tough in October.
They've been one of the better teams in baseball though, past couple of months, month and a half. So and they had that big old win streak. Franchise-setting win streak, so it is what it is. Now, also, this happened over the weekend. Cardinals.
Cardinals made a deal, Gabe.
They made a deal. We were waiting for it. We were looking for some pitching
and he
help.
Immediately got optioned to Memphis.
Cardinals
so we can go see him play.
Cardinals traded Mundo Sosa for JoJo Romero from the Phillies. How about that?
I knew the Cardinals would shake it up at Devil.
Oh, yeah.
JoJo Romero.
Hey, big splash, right?
He's already been optioned to Memphis, but now the Redbirds are out of town for a week.
Well, they've had Edmundo Sosa basically all year, so they get rid of Edmundo Sosa and they called up Paul DeJong. I guess they believe Paul DeJong had an okay weekend. I'm not going.
He sure did.
Awesome weekend.
Paul DeJong had a good weekend, 2 home runs, and saw him smile.
Well, I get that, but oh my gosh, if this is all the Cardinals do at the trade deadline,
it's not. They'll get a pitcher.
We'll find out more in about an hour.
I remember the first thing I texted Brett when I saw they traded for JoJo Romero. I said, I miss J.A. Happ and John Lester.
I think there's a little bit of potential there in JoJo Romero.
Well, he's 25 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I think
he's
come in and be a
now.
setup guy, and later down the season or in the next couple of years. I don't think it's a terrible trade.
How many tickets you think he sells?
0. But hey, we're not worried about tickets. We're worried about ball games.
The Cardinal way. That's right.
Exactly.
I love Bryant trying to say. I think it's looking up. JoJo Romero. Shout out to.
Well,
JoJo
I'm not saying
Romero.
it's like a great let's all get excited about. I'm just saying. I mean, he could be a decent one-inning guy.
I understand. He could be a decent one-inning guy. Gotta love it. Also, Cubs rookie Scott Efros, 2.66 ERA and 44 innings pitched, is headed to the Yankees. Yankees send Hayden Wesneski in return. And by the way, that's a good return for the Cubs. That's a young pitcher who's been good in the Yankees organization.
They never overvalue their prospects.
Yes, because they can go trade for anybody they want with those prospects. I mean, seriously, they have the money to pay, and this is just from about, what do you say, 15 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Yankees made another deal. They get Frankie Montas and Lou Trevino from the A's, and they sent a couple of prospects in return for those guys. So the Yankees just bolster themselves every single trade deadline, and it's not a surprise. It's gonna. They did a good job. So they've done a good job so far.
I don't think you've ever had to be subjected to my sermonette on Moneyball, on Billy Beane. And I didn't see the movie. I know Brad Pitt portrayed him.
Great movie.
But people that want to put him in the Hall of Fame, again, I just merely ask, what have they won? What's Oakland ever won? I think they've won one series in the Billy Beane Moneyball era. One series. One advancement.
No, I get it.
Never LCS, never a World Series. Why? Why is this guy so adored?
Because of the movie.
Analytics.
Brad Pitt.
And because of the analytics, and he competed with a team that no one thought he could compete with.
They didn't win Jack, and they didn't sell any tickets, and they're getting ready to move.
No, I get
Boy,
it.
what a great job Billy Beane did.
Listen. I don't fully share your sentiment, but I share your sentiment if that makes sense.
No, and you know what? And nobody does when I go into that screed about him. Everybody wants to defend him. He hadn't won a thing.
I can't really defend him though. That's what I'm saying.
That's
it's like I don't have like a hate or like any bad feelings in my heart for Billy Beane, but at the same time, like I get your point. I get your point.
His biggest contribution could be if he drives the moving van from Oakland to Las Vegas.
Couple of other things that happened over the weekend. Josh Hader. Well, this happened yesterday and into today. Josh Hader to the Padres.
Thank you, Brewers. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Padres are gonna be dirty.
Brewers are. You get the Brewers are in first place sentiment, but I'll say this: I'm not as mad at the Brewers for making this decision as others are. 1 year left for Josh Hader. Hadn't been all that great this year. And Milwaukee's going to get Taylor Rogers, who was an all-star last year, Denilson Lamet, who was good at one point. He's been really bad since, but still, I mean, mid-20s, can wake back up. And then they have the number 7 prospect in the Padres organization, and then Asturi Ruiz, who's spent some time with the big club. So you got a decent haul, a decent return for Josh Hader, which is only a half a year rental.
And still significantly in the driver's seat for Juan Soto.
Yes.
They could be amazing after this deadline.
All right, what are we doing with Juan Soto? What do we think?
I don't think they trade him.
Dodgers, Padres, Cardinals.
I don't think they trade him. I think if they trade him, he goes to the Padres.
I'm missing one more. That I have to mention. I said Josh Hader.
Mancini, boom.
And yeah, this just happened. This literally just happened. Trey Mancini to the Astros. That should be good. That'll bolster that lineup. Yeah. Not like they needed much.
No.
Not like they needed much. That'll do it for hour number 1. Hour number 2 is on the way. We have some NFL notes to get to Millennial Monday at 4:45. But coming up next, David Cobb.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. Have you been turned down by your homeowner's insurance in the past 12 months for damage you believe you're owed? Call Brian Elder Roofing now. Our professionals will do a no-obligation, thorough evaluation of your property and document all damage we find. Our fully certified Hague inspectors are trained to identify storm damage to assess and build a full estimate in a language your carrier will understand. If there is no damage found, we will tell you just that. We build a data file of your actual storm damage for your carrier, all at no cost to you, free. So call now for your comprehensive roof guarantee from Brian Elder Roofing. Call us, 867-0303. That's 867-0303, or schedule online at brianelderroofing.com. Because if you think it's a claim, we'll help you show it's a claim.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home and auto.
When you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, you get great savings and round-the-clock protection, which is as beautiful as looking your firstborn child in the eyes for the first time. Well, that's a bit much. Maybe it's more like looking your second-born child in the eyes for like the third or fourth time. Point being, the savings and round-the-clock protection are really, really magical.
Forced Metaphors. Presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Hey Mid-South, the end of summer is almost here. Kids are getting ready for the new school year, but I'll be left behind unless I get my rear in gear. Colin Johnston here from DeSoto Auto Sales, and I need your old ride. So if you bring your keys in, I'll help you end the season on a high note. You could get up to $4,000 more than Kelley Blue Book value for your old ride. So don't spend another minute in a car you hate. Trade up when you trade it in today. Even if you've had credit problems in the past, my For the People credit approval process works. So if driving your current car is getting old, bring your keys in and you could get the deal of the season. Up to $4,000 more than Kelley Blue Book value for your old ride. But hurry, offer ends at my end of season Keys In sales event. I'm Colin Johnston, your dealer for the people. See all the cars at DeSotoAutosales.com. That's DESOTO Autosales.com.
Credit requires bank approval. Negative equity may be refinanced. Trade-in condition determines actual trade allowance. Kelley Blue Book is a registered trademark of the Kelley Blue Book Company Incorporated, which is not affiliated with DeSoto Auto Sales. Offer absolutely ends on August 31st, 2022.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
Oh, nothing but the best.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Hour 2 is here. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe. He's Stats. And joining us is David Cobb from CBS Sports, writing for them college football, college basketball at David W. Cobb on Twitter. David, how are you, man?
Good, man. Hey, I'm on the way back from a golf trip, and when I get back in front of the computer tomorrow, it's all systems go on college football because preseason practice is opening up, so it's that time of year.
How many golf balls you lose?
Yeah, where'd you play golf, too?
I can't even count how many golf balls I lost, but we went down to Sweetens Cove, which, if you know, it's become quite exclusive, and I hate it because I lived in Chattanooga 2015 and 2016 when it was just coming onto the scene, and I never took advantage of it in its infancy. So we had to do the whole deal where you kind of more or less have to get in a lottery, or that's the easiest way to describe it. It's just difficult to get out there, but we got out there, went out. It was as advertised. It's a beautiful course now backed by Andy Roddick. Peyton Manning over there near Chattanooga and South Pittsburgh, and it's only a 9-holer, but it is the best 9-hole golf course you have ever seen in your life.
And David, I have said on these airways before, and this is the exception from everybody that plays it. I've said you can't have a great 9-hole course. This is the exception, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you know what gets me excited is that King & Collins is the architecture firm that did it. They're the ones who just did the Overton Park renovation.
Yep.
And so I next time I get into town, that is on my to-do list, is to go play Overton. Because I loved Overton even before it was nice. And so to go see it now that it's been redone, I'm going to be really
I played it a couple of weekends ago. It was solid on a Friday.
Yeah.
I told Brett I was going to walk 9, and he about lost his mind, though. He said, "Are you insane?"
It was 190 in the shade.
I went after the show, played 9 at Overton. It's solid. It's solid. They've done a good job with the renovations.
Well, you got.
And David, I'm glad you helped the Manning boys out. Times are tough. You know, if Arch doesn't get that NIL, I don't know how they're going to keep everything going.
I know. I think you're underestimating Gabe too, because this is the time of year where he's used to doing conditioning. So
this is his time of year.
Just give me a little bit of water. I'll be all right.
David, with that, I'm going to do the unthinkable. I'm going to ask a college basketball question. Can we even do that? Is that allowed on August 1st?
I don't know. I might have to should I draw my line in the sand right now, David?
It's y'all's call.
Hey, I'll accept it. I'll accept it because I do cover both, and so I should be able to answer a question about both. Yeah.
And we love both. The Maui Invitational, the times and the bracket reveal today. And I had to text our friend Kevin Sweeney about this at College Basketball Central. I noticed that Chaminade's not in there. With the new deal in Maui, in Lahaina, they're only going to be in the tournament every other year and will not be in the first one back at actually being in Maui this year since 2019. I think that's regrettable.
That's tragic, and it's really sad that the first thing that comes to mind when you say that, because I had not seen that, but the first thing that comes to my mind is, the networks must think they can get better ratings in games that don't involve Chaminade. And I don't know if that's the motive, but that's just the default right now in college sports is, what's the TV boardroom saying about, this to maybe make that happen or pull the string. I don't know if that's the answer. That's the first thing that comes to my mind, though. But it's a shame because it's one of those traditions to always see them play, the big boys. And every once in a while, pull an upset or put a scare into one of them as a D2 team. That's strange. I'm not sure I love that. At least they'll still be in it every other year, but sign of the times, I suppose.
The Tigers go pretty soon, don't they? Don't they go next year, Brian? Under the Tigers are slated to go to Maui pretty soon. I love that tournament. And David, I say it every year, and I know people get tired of hearing me say this, but I really do mean it, that fill in the blank. This is my favorite week of the year. But that week of Thanksgiving, starting with that first game around 1 o'clock that Monday from Maui, just about every waking moment from that Monday through the following Monday night football game, sports on TV. A lot of great college basketball in these tournaments around the country, led by Maui. This year, Arkansas and Louisville play kind of the afternoon game, like the 4 o'clock game Central Time from Maui. I love that week of sports on television and all the good food I get to eat.
It's a good week. The thing that the beginning of college basketball has on the beginning of college football is that continuity and the fact that there's games every day of the week for sure. We're dragging it out a little bit with football now, of course. Well, got some decent games week 1 of college football season on Thursday, going obviously Friday, Saturday. And we got Sunday, Monday, too. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but there's some pretty solid games 5 days in a row to start football. But then it tapers off, right? Because we don't do that every week of the college football season.
Yeah, or I would OD.
I
mean,
no,
you would. The biggest heroin addict even has to take a day off.
You would find a way. You would find a way.
Now, I had a problem with the way it was announced. I really do. But the Tigers out of conference schedule for basketball. This will be the last basketball question that I'm going to force us to talk about.
It's good.
Football.
It's a good schedule.
Yeah, it is a good schedule. It feels like there's 8 plus games, 8, 9, 10 games really you can build your resume with. But my question really has to do with that roster, with the core they have. How do you think they'll fare in it?
Well, they can't do much worse in the non-con than they have the last 2 years. Even with the lottery picks and the rosters projected to be top 15 nationally, they've taken their lumps in the non-con. So I like it. I think you play 5 SEC teams, a couple of other good potential games in there. I think they'll be just as good, if not better, with this nucleus they have. I think they'll be better prepared because of how veteran they're going to be. They're not going to be relying on an Imani Bates or a Jalen Duran, or even for that matter, a Precious Achua or a Musa Cisse, 18, in Imani's case, 17-year-old guys trying to get their feet underneath them against tough non-conference opponents. So I think this team is probably better suited to handle a decent non-conference schedule than some of the previous teams that maybe had more talent, because, even though this will still be a relatively new to each other team, I think the fact that you're talking about 26-year-old DeAndre Williams and, veteran Kendrick Davis and a guy in Emmanuel Acott who's played a ton of ball, that's a nucleus that's going to be ready to play in November. And I don't know that your nucleus was always like that the last couple of years.
How do you feel, though? Like when you look at this team, like on an outlook, just sort of a broad stroke, broad picture of what we've seen with Penny Hardaway teams, isn't it sort of feel like the higher floor, maybe a tad bit lower ceiling than with the 5 stars and the 17, 18-year-olds?
That's accurate. That's an accurate way to describe it, because this isn't a team that's going to generate preseason hype nationally. Right. It's just not, because they don't have that name on the team. They don't have that guy. I mean, Kendrick Davis was ranked by myself and many others as the number 1 transfer in the country, but it's not as if he's a potential lottery pick. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, there won't be a buzz around Memphis in the preseason. I'd be pretty surprised if Memphis ends up in a lot of those preseason top 25s. But you know what? You'd rather be in the top 25 at the end of the season than at the beginning. And I think this is a Memphis team that has the potential to get there, even if they are lighter on talent. So, I mean, that's an accurate depiction, but honestly, isn't that okay at this point to be higher floor, lower ceiling after the roller coaster ride that it's been, the last 4 or 5 years? I mean, I don't know how that translates with season ticket sales and TV ratings, but just in terms of the emotional stability of the fans who have been on this ride and who are still waiting this IARP ruling, probably okay to feel like you got 20 wins in the bag, but maybe not a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm. Now, the one thing I will say, we're going to go to football. I wish they wouldn't have announced it on AAC Media Day. Yeah. Give the football program their day in the light, their day to shine. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, speaking of college football, you wrote a primer before the Conference of Champions, before the Pac-12 did their media days at the end of last week. And your question was, what can Commissioner George Kliavkoff possibly say to stabilize the Pac-12? And that's a tough question to answer. But do you think that he was good? Do you think that his remarks to open up Pac-12 media days were suffice?
Well, he came out swinging. He came out aggressive. He didn't take the passive posture kind of that Jim Phillips did, where you fall back on the old tropes about the student-athlete welfare. I mean, he clawed back. So I'll give him that. He showed some teeth. He showed some fight in him, which I think he needed to do. So I'd give him props for that. Little in the way of realistic substance. I just don't think the Pac-12 is in a great position, because I do think that their members are looking to move elsewhere. I don't think the Big 12 members really are. If the Big 10 came calling, sure, but they're probably not. If the ACC or the SEC came calling for Oklahoma State or Baylor, yeah, they would jump. They would listen, absolutely. But for the most part, the Big 12, I think, is in a more stable position than the Pac-12. So I thought, maybe his saving grace would be some big TV announcement that they would have, or some big realignment bomb that he could drop. He had insinuated that there could be some big things on the horizon there, but in particular with those items, I mean, he didn't say anything that makes me think, oh, maybe the Pac-12 is about to make a big splash here on something. So, yeah, he came out swinging. He was aggressive. He defended his conference with an impressive amount of vigor, but it's not as if there was any substance in what he said to change my thinking on where the Pac-12 stands.
And David, we will know that big moment. All three of us will text one another that day. All four of us, Brian included, we'll text each other, holy snikes, can you believe so-and-so just let. So I'm going to set the today being August 1st, I'm going to set the over and under on 9 months. That takes us to May 1st. Over or under the next big earthquake on realignment conference movement. Over or under? Will it come before 9 months or after?
I think it'll be under. I do. I think one of those Pac-12 teams, either Oregon, Washington, or even somebody like Arizona or Utah, will decide that they've got a better future somewhere else. And that somewhere else could very well be the Big 12. Or, you know what, if NBC comes to Notre Dame, or whoever Notre Dame might be interested in talking to, says, you know what, hey, your TV package just isn't going to be as lucrative as maybe you would have hoped. Notre Dame decides to make a move, they could be that domino. I think that's unlikely, still possible though. But if I were betting, I'd say sure, under 9 months that one of those remaining Pac-12 schools ends up pulling the trigger and going and making a move.
Our guest, David Cobb, at David W. Cobb on Twitter from CBS Sports. Now, X's and O's, on the field stuff. Who do you think? And this, I guess there could be a couple of teams here that you pick from. But who do you think is the best team in college football going into 2022?
Yeah, it's cliche. This is what we don't like about college football, but it's Alabama. It's too easy, but it's true. If you go and look at that roster and the fact that they returned the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback and Bryce Young, the fact that they've got an absolute stud transfer haul headlined by Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back from Georgia Tech. I think he's going to help their run game get a lot better, a run game that wasn't really that great last season. I think he's going to help take some of that pressure off of Bryce Young. And then they got a couple of big transfers at the receiver position, headlined by Jermaine Burton out of Georgia, who's really going to get a chance to shine in the same way I think that the Ohio State transfer shined for him last year.
Yep.
And so I think he's going to be a potential breakout player at receiver. That's a trio that I don't know you can top in college football. Ohio State's trio of Jackson Smith and Jigba at receiver and C.J. Stroud at quarterback and Travion Henderson at running back is pretty solid and maybe is number one in that regard in the minds of most. But I think Bryce Young, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jermaine Burton, that's going to be a hard trio to top at the skill positions. And then you throw in a guy like Will Anderson coming back on the defensive side.
And Dallas Turner.
Absolutely. So Alabama's my pick. I think with everything Georgia loses on the defensive side of the ball, what I did, we just filed our 131 ballot for CBS Sports, ranking all 131 in FBS. And I went Alabama 1, Georgia 2, which I know might bother some people who think they're the defending champions.
It just means more, David. I hear you, man.
Who was 3 and 4?
It just means more, yeah.
I had Ohio State 3, and I had Clemson 4.
But curiously, with Ohio State, because that's a team I look at this year as like, I feel like they're going to be a lot, and they're great every single year. I mean, it's Alabama and Ohio State reloading and just at the top of college football in a playoff, always in contention to go win one. Ohio State's the team this year for me, though, because the Jim Knowles hire, I think, is going to be huge on the defensive side of the ball. Why are you not as sold yet? Is it going to be a wait-and-see sort of moment for you?
Look at how much ground they have to make up. The defense really wasn't great last year at all. Jim Knowles, great hire. Can he turn it around immediately? That's a huge ask for a first-year coordinator to do that. So offensively, Ohio State is right there with Alabama because of those skill players I mentioned already. But defensively, even though Alabama had its struggles in the secondary last year, I think Jim Knowles makes Ohio State's defense better. I don't know that he makes Ohio State's defense good enough to beat an Alabama team that feels to me like the clear odds-on favorite to win the national title going into the year.
I didn't hesitate with Ohio State W's and L's. I went through it, and it's 12-0. I didn't even hesitate. Week 1 against Notre Dame. Week 2, Arkansas State goes to Columbus the week before they come to Memphis to play the Memphis Tigers. David, in the SEC West, who can be this year's Ole Miss out of nowhere to 10-2?
Well, in the SEC West, I think you got to look at Mississippi State potentially as that team. If you're talking about out of nowhere, because look, people aren't sleeping on Arkansas right now.
Right.
So
or A&M. That's right.
Yeah. Neither of them would be out of nowhere. I mean, look, you could say LSU. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the continuity factor in Mississippi State gives them a clear leg up in that regard, in my mind, over LSU. Because as great as Brian Kelly is, this is year 1 in the SEC. I'm sorry. I think he'll get there, but I don't think he gets there in year 1. so I go with Mississippi State, a veteran quarterback now. If you go and look historically at Mike Leach's tenures at Washington State, Texas Tech, this is generally around the time when they start to really figure it out. And they took a huge step in year 2. Now with a pretty saucy defense back, with a ton of vets back on that side of the ball, the offense sort of in a rhythm and understanding Leach's system now, Mississippi State could be in a position to surprise some folks and compete for that second spot in the West. I really do think that.
Now in the East, I may put you in homer position. I am glad I'm going to put you in this position. I think most people behind Georgia, it's either Kentucky or Tennessee. And Kentucky, we get Will Levis. Tennessee, Hendon Hooker. They need to improve on the defensive side of the ball. Which train are you more on when you look at the SEC East?
I would say Tennessee, with the caveat of this. I think Tennessee is so dependent on Hendon Hooker. And as fascinated as everyone seems to be with Will Levis at Kentucky, I think Kentucky, because of the DNA of that program, would be better equipped to withstand a quarterback injury than Tennessee, because Kentucky can fall back on a really solid defense. Kentucky can fall back on an excellent run game if something were to happen to Will Levis. What happens at Tennessee if, heaven forbid, Hendon Hooker suffers an injury? All of a sudden, everything that Josh Heupel's system and program is built upon is suddenly shaky, because the defense was serviceable last year, but not great. It won't be great this year. The running attack was serviceable last year and should be fine this year, but there's not anything else really to fall back on. I think Joe Milton is still in line to be the backup quarterback. We've seen Joe Milton now for a few years in college football. I don't think Tennessee fans would feel very great if they ended up in a position where he had to play. So if quarterback health remains steady for both programs, Tennessee absolutely has the higher ceiling. I just get a little nervous about Tennessee when I think about how reliant I think they're going to be on Hendon Hooker.
Last year we saw the contrast between Joe Milton and Hendon Hooker, and it was stark. We also saw that offensive line come together last year at UT, and I think, David, this is the best returning offensive line and could be the best Tennessee offensive line since some of those prolific Philip Fulmer offensive lines.
Yeah, I mean, and that's so huge, because if you flash back to the Butch Jones era, it took them a long time to figure out that they desperately needed a mobile quarterback, because the offensive lines of that time really couldn't block anyone. And it wasn't until they turned to Joshua Dobbs, who had some of that elusivity and ability to run around and make things happen, that his offensive system finally started to work. And so, Heupel's been fortunate to be able to get some linemen in there pretty early in his tenure who fit the bill, because with how fast they go, that system isn't for, let's say, the ground and pound offensive lineman. I mean, you need to be pretty well conditioned to play 80 snaps, in that system per game. Gabe, you probably have more insight into what that's like than I do. After playing with Paxton Lynch and Riley Ferguson and those guys, but with the way Tennessee's offense runs, I wouldn't have thought the offensive line would be a strength so early, because it's sort of a unique type of athlete they need in there. But they've done a really good job with it. That's Heupel knowing exactly how to put his thumbprint on an offense, which is a great thing to have as a head coach in this era.
Now, let me say, when it comes to tempo offenses, I liked the later months of the season as opposed to the early months.
A little cooler.
After fall camp, when you get into where the turf is like 120 degrees, that's no fun to be in a tempo offense, but it is what it is. It's no fun. It's no fun for the defense either. They're huffing and puffing just as much as you. Now, I started this football conversation with the Pac. I'm going to end it with the Pac-12. Going into this year, Utah at the top of the media poll by a wide margin, then Oregon, then USC, then UCLA. The top four, I think everybody would sort of agree those are the teams you'd look at. How confident you think Utah should be in being at the top of the pack? And do you think this is the year that they could potentially run through the Pac-12, maybe beat Florida early in the season and get a chance at the college football playoff?
Well, they're in that chase group of 7 or 8 teams who would be dark horses. Outside of that top four I mentioned of Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, there's 7 or 8 who would be kind of upset picks to crack the playoffs. They're among that group. I like Utah to win the Pac-12 because of the physicality factor. USC is going to be better. Oregon should still be fine. Washington will get back to full eligibility. At the end of the day, though, if you go back and look at the recipe Utah used last season to win the Pac-12, it's the exact same thing. And USC, for as great as the offensive transfer haul is, I still don't think they're physically equipped to withstand the beating that Utah likes to inflict on people. Yeah. And if you go and look at Oregon, as hard as Mario Cristobal tried to implement that hard-nosed, physical, beat-you-up-front type of style, he never really got there, at least when it came to playing Utah, because Utah got the best of them on a regular basis there at the end. So nothing's changed. I don't see two first-year coaches being able to flip that tide on Kyle Whittingham, who's now been doing this for a really long time at a pretty high level. So I like Utah. The fact is they got the quarterback returning as well, and Cam Rising, who was pretty much lights out last 10 games of last season. So Utah's my pick. Do they have the upper-end athletes, the upper-end skill position to really make a run at the playoffs? I have my doubts there. I think they take an L or two that probably keeps them out. So not sure I see the playoff buzz there, but they're in the group. They're in the group of dark horses who could do it if they're able to put something special together.
David, Georgia has not had a Heisman Trophy finalist go to New York City since 1992 when Garrison Hurst did. Can Stetson Bennett go just on meritorious service, just on being a winner?
A Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm going to say no. I love Stetson Bennett, but you're talking about the 5 best players in college football who get invited to New York. I don't think he's one of the 5 best players in college football. I do believe that he is better than most people give him credit for. I do believe that Stetson Bennett is a good quarterback. I don't believe that he's gonna go to New York and be a finalist for the Heisman Trophy, because if Georgia's great again and in the playoffs again, it'll largely be because that defense manages to just kind of reload and be not as great as last year, because that won't be possible, but pretty dominant. And that's Georgia's path again. And that's why I think their needle is pretty hard to thread, and that's why I have Alabama ahead of them.
If we're talking about SEC and we're talking about, being there at the Heisman ceremony, I just hope they don't screw Will Anderson Jr. out of it again, because last year there was no excuse to have Aiden Hutchinson over him there. That was nasty. Especially his stat line, David, is one of the most impressive defensive seasons we've seen in the history of college football.
Yes, and he is the preeminent defensive player in the sport this year. I think if Alabama is the clear-cut number 1 team, there's not much of an appetite to give a guy the Heisman for the second year in a row. Bryce Young could very well get better this year, yet not necessarily generate the same amount of Heisman buzz. And if
he has to be perfect to get the same amount of Heisman buzz.
You have to be perfect to join Archie Griffin.
Right. So the odds are stacked against him in that regard. Plus, he did so much for them. I mean, he was amazing last year. Bryce Young was. Will Anderson was too. I just think this Alabama team could be a little bit more complete and not have to ask so much of its quarterback as well. And Will Anderson's a huge part of that. So I'd put him on the short list of players who are in line to be there as Heisman finalists at the end.
He is always great. He's our guy, David Cobb from CBS Sports, talking college football and college basketball for them on Twitter at David W. Cobb. David, appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
You have a good one.
David Cobb with us every Monday talking college football and college basketball. We got some college basketball in there. And, Gabe, I want to say thank you. I knew a couple of them Friday night at the Redbirds game, but there were a couple people that I didn't know. And our topic on Friday afternoon with Heck Yes, Hell No, out of the 5 SEC games for the Tigers basketball next year, what will they go? Randomly, a couple people I know, but a couple people I didn't know came up 3-2, 4-1, 2-3. I mean, I got everything from people on Friday night. Thank you for listening. And, of course, we're going to be talking Tigers and enjoy doing it year-round. And just out of nowhere to get that Friday night at the ballpark, I sure enjoyed it. You can get down to Olive Branch and get in the middle of all the incredible pre-owned trucks and SUVs they have at All-Star Chevrolet. Take Highway 78, first exit after you get into Mississippi Kraft Goodman Road, you're there. Ram trucks, Laramies, Bighorns. They look like they've barely been driven. Jeeps, Grand Caravans, and an Audi Q7 as well. If you want any pre-owned Silverado or certified pre-owned Silverado, head down to All-Star Chevrolet. Jeff and Kevin, they've been right on getting us all the good deals right there at Olive Branch. Crew cabs, double cabs, high country, and some nice Tahoes as well. Kevin and Jeff also asked me to give a big shout-out to all of you who chose All-Star as the go-to place to sell your vehicle. So many on sale today at All-Star Chevrolet. If you want to sell any vehicle, bring it to All-Star, bring it to Olive Branch, and get your check today. Even if you owe money against it, You don't have to buy a thing. You can pre-order any new Chevy you want right there at All-Star Chevrolet. Remember, it's not the Pike, it's not South Haven, it's not Bartlett, Mount Moriah, or Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
So over the weekend, Deebo Samuel finally got his money from the 49ers. It ends the holdout and then the hold-in that he had this offseason, that he staged this offseason. We'll talk about that when we come back on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
You have opinions?
You bet.
Of course you do. Everyone does. Hit us up on the AutoZone listener line, 360-8255, 360-8255.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Sure thing. We can help you replace those wipers. If yours are squeaking or streaking, it's probably time. We've got a wide selection of wipers that can stand up to any weather, including the right ones for your make and model. We've even got more ways to get them fast, like our next day delivery or free same-day store pickup. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
If you've been racking your brain trying to think of the perfect gift for someone, here's the simple answer. Give them the gift of Prime, 117 Prime. Nothing shows how much you care about them like the gift of fantastic food. And 117 Prime is as fantastic as it gets. Give that special someone a gift card for 117 Prime, and these steak experts will prepare them what will almost certainly be the best steak they've ever had. Don't buy them a tie or a book they'll never have time to read. Get them what they really want. Get them Prime.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
8 years. Do you want to send the current district attorney back for 8 years with her record? Amy Wyrick has the worst prosecutorial record in the state. She cheats to win by hiding evidence and can't be trusted. Attorney Steve Mulroy will fight to end disparities and bias in the Shelby County criminal justice system. He will prioritize violent crimes and work to secure justice for the victim. Vote Steve Mulroy for district attorney, paid for by People for Fairness and Justice PAC, and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Barden Stone has been serving the Mid-South area for over 3 generations. What sets them apart and makes them a unique landscape stone center? They have one of the largest selections with a wide variety of colors and sizes, all the way from cobblestones to garden rock and pebbles from ground cover, plus fieldstone and flagstone, stepping stones and stacking stones, even landscape boulders. In addition to a wide variety of stones and rocks, Barden Stone staff is very knowledgeable. Whether you're a homeowner, contractor, or design professional, Barden Stone can answer any question pertaining to the use of stones from A to Z. Barden Stone, they know stone inside and out. Barden Stone, 1 mile south of Park at 1557 Cherry Road. Barden Stone, open for you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Call 901-683-8264 and visit Barden Stone.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
Dad, come on, you're going to fall in the barbecue.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Absolutely perfect song to come into when we're talking about the 49ers and Deebo Samuel. I don't know if you've seen that. I know Brian's seen that video. You seen that video, Brett? This is the song they came out to. They have the big boom box over the shoulder when they come out for primetime games.
The main video that everyone was retweeting was the one before they beat the Cowboys in the playoffs.
Okay. All right.
So it's personal.
Tough spot there. I hear you. But 49ers,
I knew he would be in camp by today, though.
49ers, he's been at camp the whole time. It was a hold-in, and that's what we've been seeing.
I knew it'd get resolved.
So it's Derwin James is of the 3 I mentioned last week. He's the only one still looking for a long-term deal. DK Metcalf gets his. and then Deebo Samuel gets his as well. But Deebo Samuel, 3 years, $71.55 million is what he gets. Max can increase to $73.5 million if they want to use him as a running back. We'll talk about that in a second. But the extension includes $58.1 million guaranteed dollars, and it attaches him to the 49ers through 2025. Well-deserved, and honestly, I think in the grand scheme of getting these contracts re-upped, it took a little bit too long. Deebo meant so much to their offense last year, running the ball, catching the ball, screens, downfield, whatever it was. He was the focal point, and he made that very clear.
Gabe, I think the holdup was the language of him surrounding him being a running back and the long-term durability, because we know that's going to take a lot of tread off the tires. Right. That 49er roster, the Packers roster, the Bills roster, I think the Raiders roster and San Francisco, maybe the 1 through 35 best rosters in the sport.
Yeah, I think so. Now, here's the one thing that we've seen with the 49ers is, like, the running back position always leaves you wondering what they're actually going to do. Mm-hmm. Trey Sermon played some time, Jeff Wilson Jr., Elijah Mitchell.
You know what my answer
is the starter. It doesn't really matter. That O-line.
Get Jusic with his hands on the ball about 30 times a game.
Use check. Shout out to the fullback. But they got Tyrion Davis-Price in the draft this year, so maybe he'll play a little bit more. But that's the one part on offense that they're missing.
We know what the defensive strategy is going to be on Trey Lance.
Well, but also, like, I have heard so many different opinions about them moving on from Jimmy G and going to Trey Lance, which also, like, the character foil of Jimmy Garoppolo, this, from the Super Bowl against the Chiefs to where he is now, like, folks have gone so up and down on him. And there's a lot of people that are sort of going to bat for him now that the 49ers have officially moved on from Jimmy G. I'm not going to go to bat for Jimmy G. No. Really? That's not the I was.
Hey, I've been on some dumb sides before, but I'm not taking that one.
Listen, I was always taught there are hills that you like. There's hills you're going to die on.
I'm
not going to die on the Jimmy G hill. I just can't do it.
No, Gabe, and I've said I miss bad. I miss bad on Josh Allen, and Dave got it right. I give all credit. I said after that Super Bowl collapse that Jimmy G was going to be this generation's Rex Grossman. And I haven't seen much to dissuade me from that.
You know what's funny is, like, I hate when people say, "Oh, well, he led them to an NFC championship last year."
Well, so did Rex Grossman.
Brett, when I think you need to, when people say that, you need to say, take the word lead out completely. They didn't score an offensive touchdown against the Packers. The Packers gifted that game to him on a block punt. I don't want to hear about how he's got all this playoff success and he wins. Of course he wins. He's had the best rosters wherever he's gone. He's had great coaching everywhere he's gone.
I saw a group of panelists discussing him, and they referenced this. They said during the NFC Championship game against Green Bay, 49ers executives in their box were holding their breaths. Don't blow this. I mean, they just had zero trust in him.
It's not that I don't trust the guy. I think he's going to make mostly the right decisions. Now, when it matters, I thought if he made one more pass against the Chiefs, the 49ers would have won that Super Bowl. One more. Just one more pass.
That's it.
That's all they needed. And he couldn't do that. So I think there's shortcomings. And it's just funny, though. I think the character foil, going back to the original conversation, the character foil of Jimmy G through the years has been ridiculous. And now he's like, he's put upon now. Now people think that he's being cast out for this rookie that they spent too many draft picks on. Whatever. I don't know.
No pity party for Jimmy G, is it?
Yeah. Deebo Samuel, though, I thought he and DK Metcalf got this thing right. 3-year extensions is very, very smart. They'll both be done while they're still in their 20s, and they can explore the new wide receiver market then. DK will be 27. Deebo will be 29.
They'll get the reset mark.
Yeah, which is so smart. It's so smart. You don't need the long. And that's
Kevin Garnett smart.
And you know what? Especially
Kevin Garnett could reset. He always got the reset.
Yeah, and with the NFL, the way it's going, with the cap increasing just monumentally every year, especially since COVID. They got out of COVID in the pandemic.
Did you see what the Patriots punter got?
$13 million. And I want to have a conversation about that, too, because the Patriots don't pay anyone else, but they want to pay a punter.
Open the vault up to the punter.
Punters are people too, Gabe. Punters are people too.
I understand that.
Well, they are,
but Stephon Gilmore and J.C. Jackson
What's next?
are pretty
Deep
good
snappers?
Too. I just sort of look at, okay, fine. You brought up the punter. Okay, when are we going to have the conversation about Bill Belichick and, how he spends money as a GM? Can we have this conversation? Yeah. 4 years, $13.5 million for a punter, but in the same calendar year, he lets J.C. Jackson, Stephon Gilmore walk for nothing. All he got in return for both those guys was a compensatory 6th-round pick.
You know what I'm afraid
I don't get it.
The next few years for Bill Belichick could look like? It could look like the return to the dugout that Tony La Russa's looked like.
And now he's not naming an OC or a DC. There's some concerning things happening in New England, and this happens. I'm not going to say every time, but it happens. It's a commonality as guys get to the end of their career. They just sort of age out. And I think
is that fair, the La Russa comparison?
I think that's fair. Obviously, he's never been out of football. Bill Belichick.
That's right.
He still stayed in it. But no, I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you with what you mean. It's just
we love you, but come on, man.
It's not the same as it once was.
Potentially walking somebody with 2 strikes.
You walking down a different path doesn't work the same as it did 10 years ago.
That's
decade
right.
ago, that different path got you where you wanted to go and got you championships.
It's
passed
dynamic.
you by. It's passed you by.
Never static.
And he was 10-7 last year, so I want to save a little bit. I want to say, okay, he's still
got to the playoffs,
relatively successful. Got killed. It wasn't even close.
Yeah. Well, and you knew it from the first drives.
They just weren't talented.
Disaster.
Enough. But he's not trying to keep talent is the weird thing. He's letting it all walk, and then he's paying Jake Bailey $13.5 million.
Ain't good for Jake Bailey.
Shout out to the punter. I'm glad he's getting that money.
And all
like
Brian
Bailiffs. Says, they're people too. But dang, where's the talent on his team? I don't see outside of the punter. He was an All-Pro. Who else is an All-Pro? I'll wait. Seriously, I'll wait.
I'm waiting.
Field,
No one. There's no one else. So that's that. I just. People are going to give Bill Belichick a pass because he's won 6 championships and he's consistently in the playoffs. And he's last year 10-7 with a team that you didn't think could do it.
I think he's the best to ever do it.
Yes, but even the best that ever do it age out of the game and don't do it the same. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that.
I think Tony La Russa was the best manager I've seen in my lifetime, but it's been. When I tried to give the White Sox that push a few weeks ago,
it didn't work, did it?
Back.
It did.
They're over 500 though.
Well, is that the line now?
I'm trying, Gabe. I'm trying.
They get Luke Roberts back to be a completely different team.
And I'm not raising my voice at you. That was a little stern. That was a little harsh.
The goalpost got moved to 5. Yeah. As long as they break 500, they're good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Tony keeps his job. Yeah. As long as they get to 500. Okay. I'm not going to argue. Now, there was an addendum in the – and I know we've been talking about contract addendums with the Kyler Murray stuff, but the Deebo Samuel, this one's interesting. And this is from Adam Schefter. He says, in case the 49ers continue to use wide receiver Deebo Samuel as a running back, he has incentives in his new contract that could pay him an additional $1.95 million over the life of the contract for rushing yards and rushing TDs. He'll receive $650,000 per year for each year he has 380 or more rushing yards. He will earn $150,000 a year if he scores 3 rushing TDs in any 1 year. And he maxes out at $650,000 per year on that $1.95 million over the life of his new contract. So I feel like the 49ers at the same time kind of got what they wanted, because now I think Deebo's going to have incentive to run the ball a tad bit more, even though he has $71.55 million anyway.
I think Shanahan is offensive genius, wizardry.
Yeah, I think he's unbelievable. I think he does a fantastic job. But at the same time, it's gonna be a learning process this year. Trey Lance in there for the first time, and he's gonna have to get through the young quarterback sort of growing pains, which I think he can
will.
do.
And the defense is earlier going to say, beat us, young fella, not rookie, but beat us, young fella. Next week at the golf tournament, a lot of the area restaurants will be out there showing off what we know, what the culinary pride of Memphis. The commissary will be back out there again. Be sure and go out and see them out at the pit, and you can see them around town. Not as cool enough as late last week to maybe get out on the patio at the Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, but you can go inside and you can enjoy it. Or the original in Germantown. And if you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary to 33733. All that great food we've come to know and love. It's where the barbecue nachos were invented. And now with a lot of back-to-school stuff, whether it's teachers or class, in classroom, or with the bands, or with the cheerleaders, or with the football team, a lot of events welcoming people back. The catering, call the commissary, 901-754-5540, or go online at commissarybbq.com, and soon it'll be time for tailgating. And start that feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales. I mentioned the nachos, the smoked chicken wings, fantastic. And then dig into the ribs of the shoulder, chopped or pulled. All the sides, deviled eggs, slaw, beans, bread as well. And you can order it by the pound, or a 6-pack, or an 8-pack, or a 12-pack. The salads are so good, and save room for dessert, like the lemon icebox pie or the banana pudding. 901-754-5540, online at commissarybbq.com, in Collierville and Germantown. And we're going to get to the party areas and enjoy college football and the NFL from there soon. Either place, the new Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown.
So we bring the generations together when we come back and we get to Millennial Monday. I do have to have a spoiler alert on this. We talked about Deebo Samuel. I have a Deebo question coming up, and it may not be about Deebo Samuel. We'll talk about it when we come back on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of product? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Sheldon, we've worked together for over 20 years, and we have sold a lot of homes in that time.
That's right. I'm Sheldon Rosengarten, and I'm with Melanie Simpson, and we're with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. Melanie, I've represented numerous buyers and sellers and always strive to do a good job for whomever I represent.
Sheldon, I know you do, except your golf game is horrible because you spend so much time taking care of your clients. I even heard that you tend to hit people with wayward golf shots.
Only 2 or 3 times, and they're all out of the hospital now. Like I always say, if you're thinking of selling a home, talk to 2 or 3 real estate brokers and make sure I'm one of them.
And if someone needs to fill up a foursome, don't call you?
That's right. And find out why people often say when you want the job done, call Shell Dunn.
You can reach Shell Dunn Rosengarten or me, Melanie Simpson, at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now. That's 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. And
Go Tigers!
Something you probably do know. Progressive can not only offer you a great price when you bundle home and auto, they offer you round-the-clock protection. Something you probably don't know, the average oak tree branch can hold 70 pounds. Something you probably do know, your neighbor is building their kid a treehouse. Something you probably don't know, a falling treehouse would take out your whole fence. Bundle your home and auto with Progressive and get more than a great price. Get round-the-clock protection. Something you know for the things you don't know. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers, and subject to policy terms. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Say there was a place, the perfect place for everything you need for tailgates and patios. Grills and chairs, charcoal and coolers. Everything to make a great game or a great day. That perfect place wouldn't be a warehouse. It's East Memphis Ace Hardware. Locally owned and operated at Quince and White Station, East Memphis Ace Hardware is where you'll find Benjamin Moore paints, local plants from local growers, and Black & Decker tools. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their tailgates. Welcome to East Memphis Ace Hardware, the home convenience store.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
How do you want that cooked? Burnt to a crisp or bloody as hell?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
And the Hellcat watch me race a drift. That little boy problem, don't play with him. Like to ride traffic with the Drake grip. We'll wipe his nose like a handkerchief. Say you ride for
Back rolling, Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe, he's Stats. Brian Diggs, of course, producing the program, doing a fantastic job. Hit us up at the listener line, AutoZone listener line, 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Questions, comments, concerns about anything we've discussed today. But it's time to bring the generations together. Let's get to Millennial Monday.
Milk was a bad choice.
I'm Slim Shady, yes, I'm the real Shady. Backstreet's back. All right.
Now it's time for a breakdown.
Never gonna get
All right.
it, never gonna get it.
Nice. So I have 4 questions today and an extra, a bonus question, and that's my Debo question. You want to start there? You want to start with the bonus so you can be 0 for 0? Okay. This is the extra for today. In honor of Debo Samuel signing his contract, we have a Debo question. What movie series is the character Debo from? He was a neighborhood bully. What movie series is the character Debo from? A, Friday, B, Hangover, C, Batman. A, Friday, B, Hangover, C, Batman, looking for a character named Debo.
B, Hangover.
Oh. No, it's not right.
I had him in the wrong
incorrect.
order as I usually have.
Oh, come on.
That's on me.
You got played. But it's Friday. Friday and next Friday. He was the neighborhood bully at the end. Ice Cube.
Never
Ice Cube produced all these movies. Ice Cube beat the crap out of him at the end of the movie. Hit him over the head with a brick.
No, didn't see it.
That whole thing. You guys have never
I've
seen
told
Friday.
people for years I didn't go to movies.
Next Friday.
You think
Friday
they're
after
starting
next.
to believe me?
Mm-mm. I'm surprised Bryant more than you, though, Brett. I got to be honest.
I mean, all my friends have seen it. I'm just not a big movie guy.
So Tommy Lister Jr. played Debo. Big old 6'5" dude. He passed away, I think, too.
Hope it doesn't hurt his feelings. I've never heard of him till now.
He passed away a couple years ago. So
I'm sorry, Tom.
Yeah, but Tommy Lister Jr. was Debo in the Friday movie series. All right, now let's get to the real. So you're 0 for 0. You couldn't capitalize. Yeah. That stinks. No. That stinks. All right, no multiple choice for this question, Brett. So you're gonna have to come off the dome. What does the term ghosted mean? I'll use it in a sentence. I reached out to her, but she ghosted me. What does ghosted mean?
I think it means kind of to fake liking you.
Not fake liking you. That's not what it is. Ghosting means strictly to ignore. So if you ever heard of someone saying they left me on red, where the red receipts are on, you leave them on red, you ignore them.
Well, I have red receipts on.
I reached out to her.
You do.
He leaves me on red all the time. Brett ghosts me all the time.
No, the red is the acknowledgement that I've read it and I've gotten it. That's why I want it on. Somebody told me, "Oh, you need to turn that off. That locks you in. That they know you saw it." I want them to know I saw it.
Now, ghosted though just means to be ignored completely. You reach out to someone. Maybe you wanted to reach out. You wanted a response, and they just
Yeah, but most of the time, maybe
They
somebody
do not.
fake likes you and then they ghost you. So they kind of go hand in hand, but it's not the same
say that.
thing.
I wouldn't say that's more.
I was
leading
getting
on
it
than
confused
Well,
with
but I'm not saying it's the
catfishing.
right answer. I'm just saying that they can
Catfishing
kind of
and
go hand
ghosting.
in hand.
Oh wow, catfishing and ghosting. We've done catfishing, right? You know what catfishing is now.
Not really.
Oh, I thought we
I
had
don't
a
think
question.
I don't know. Maybe we did.
Oh,
as a
man,
question. As a
okay,
question.
yeah, there you go. He knows what it means.
Yeah.
If you responded, if I said what's catfishing and you said Manti Teo, we'd give you a ding.
They're coming
That'd
out
be
with a new
correct.
documentary
I
about
should.
Manti-Teo.
Isn't it already out?
I don't think so. I think it's about to come out.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch that.
Oh, yeah.
How about? I still sidebar. How? Like, just seriously, how?
How?
Star linebacker at Notre Dame.
How?
Why? Been a bunch of different questions. Who, what, where, when, why. 2.
Yeah.
Moving on to number 2. Which of these is not, I repeat, not a Lil Wayne song? A, Stuntin' Like My Daddy. B, Mr. Carter. C, I'm Me. And D, Walking on a Dream. Do you need them again?
No, because I've never heard of any of them.
A, Stunt Like My Daddy. B, Mr. Carter. C, I'm Me. D, Walking on a Dream. Which is not. Process of elimination, not.
C.
I don't even remember now.
I'm Me was a great song. I'm Me was a fantastic. It's off the leak. Oh, it's great. That's a great song.
Y'all's coordination leaves me hanging, and I think I've gotten it right.
It's D, Walking on a Dream. Walking on a Dream's a house song by Empire of the Sun.
Never heard of him.
Great. You ever heard The Thrill by Wiz Khalifa?
Yeah.
He sampled
okay.
it. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's Walking on a Dream.
Do you think people are starting to believe that all I do is watch sports?
Maybe. You're certainly making a good case for it.
Yeah. It's just you're not in tune with the lingo. Ghosted and catfishing sort of fly by you.
Watch sports
you don't,
and listen to the Stones.
You probably have a Lil Wayne song on your
Oh, you've
tunes,
got to.
though.
No, there's
You
no
gotta
way
have
you
one.
don't have a Lil Wayne
One.
song.
Or
One
at
of the
least
greatest
a
rappers
feature,
ever do it.
A feature. Something.
Nothing.
Wow.
I don't believe
Nothing.
it.
I don't either.
Honestly, I want him to look it up, but we'll deal with that at the break. 3.
I'm looking right now.
I'm
going to artists as we speak.
Going from rapper to rapper. Kanye West famously interrupted an artist at the VMA Awards in 2009. He said,
I've got Little Eva.
That's
not the same.
It's not. Do you have an artist with Lil, L-I-L, in front of their name?
I've got Lit, L-I-T.
Oh, really?
But no Lil.
And we've done lit too. I've asked you what lit means. It means a lot of different things. All right, but anyway, Kanye famously interrupted an artist at the VMA Awards in 2009. He said, "I'm really happy for you, but I'm gonna let you finish." But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time. Who was the artist that he interrupted? A, Natasha Bedingfield. B, Taylor Swift.
I know
C,
this.
Carrie Underwood. D,
It's
Miley
me.
Cyrus.
It's Taylor Swift.
And she made a song about it in 2017.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the song.
So one for 4.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Hall of Fame, but it'll get me into the retirement fund of the Players Association.
Will it? I don't know.
Well, kind
I don't know.
of. As a ragamuffin shortstop.
Maybe.
As a pepper pot second baseman.
As a pepper pot.
Yeah.
You played baseball, right?
Oh, yeah.
Were you a pepper pot? Did you
9 years.
And? What'd you
10
play?
years.
What'd you play?
Oh, right field.
Oh.
You know I was born to be a right
Is
fielder.
there you can't call someone a pepper pot right fielder, right?
No.
All right, last
right
one.
field, bat ninth.
Last one.
All right.
What is My Chemical Romance? A, a men's cologne. B, a clothing brand. C, a science experiment. Or D, a rock band? What is My Chemical Romance? A, men's cologne. B, clothing brand. C, a science experiment. D, rock band.
B.
What was B again?
It was men's cologne. Or clothing brand. It was clothing brand. But it's a rock band. It's a punk alternative emo. It was an emo band. Come on.
I've also never heard of them.
Come on. Welcome to the Black Parade?
No.
No familiarity.
No.
Hey, Brian's
Got a buddy of mine we called Emo, Mike Emerson. We called him Emo.
Was he?
No. Emo's a totally different thing these days. It means emotion. Isn't it short for emotional? Is that the idea? You wear dark clothes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Little sister's into that stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
She wears like the long sleeves that are striped. It's a little weird.
Hey,
it's past,
do your
past
thing,
my
right?
day. I don't know about it. I don't know anything about it.
A lot of rappers are becoming emo.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's true. That is very true. That'll do it for hour number 2. Hour number 3 is on the way, and we still have plenty to discuss. But coming up next, we talk some Cardinals, we talk some trade deadline, we talk some MLB with our man from KMOX in St. Louis, Tom Ackerman.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. Have you been turned down by your homeowner's insurance in the past 12 months for damage you believe you're owed? Call Brian Elder Roofing now. Our professionals will do a no-obligation, thorough evaluation of your property and document all damage we find. Our fully certified Hague inspectors are trained to identify storm damage to assess and build a full estimate in a language your carrier will understand. If there is no damage found, we will tell you just that. We build a data file of your actual storm damage for your carrier, all at no cost to you, free. So call now for your comprehensive roof guarantee from Brian Elder Roofing. Call us. 867-0303. That's 867-0303. Or schedule online at brianelderroofing.com. Because if you think it's a claim, we'll help you show it's a claim.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
It's time for another season of golf at Miramichi. You know the spot, 15 minutes north of downtown in Woodstock. I call it heaven. It's 330 acres of natural beauty, 7,400 yards of championship-level golf, but there are several different tee boxes which make it fun or competitive for every level of golf. And the practice facilities are as good as any country club, and every round of golf comes with a cart and complimentary range balls. You can really improve your game, and you'll love the prices too. Seniors can play Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for as low as $33. Again, the golf cart and the range balls are thrown in. The standard weekday rates are as low as $44. Friday, it's $50, and on Sunday, it's $55. You'll love the view from the terrace. You look out and see the best view in all of Shelby County. The whole experience, it's just fantastic. Go check it out yourself at Miramichi.
In the alley since 1948, the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see everything kind of getting back to normal.
Brett, we've done a lot of ads before, but maybe it's time for me to do a recap. We have valet parking at the end of our alley on Monroe. On Fridays and Saturdays, we give away our wonderful red beans and rice until it runs out. And you know we like to do things local. Miss Barbara Jackson of O Taste and See has been making these wonderful chess and pecan pies, that's pecan, not pecan, and key lime pies for dessert. And we just started serving this wonderful gelato from Sweet Magnolia Gelato Company. And just to remind everybody, you don't eat cheese and sausage with a knife and fork. You take a cracker, you put sausage on it, you put a piece of cheese on it, a little mustard or a little sauce, take a bite and chase it with the pickle. Brett, we've always been the place for all gatherings, whether they're corporate, rehearsal dinners, retirement parties, birthday parties, whatever. We seat anywhere from 20 people to 250 people. And oh, by the way, we are now open for lunch from 11 o'clock on Tuesday through Saturday. Come see us at the Rendezvous.
8 years. Do you want to send the current district attorney back for 8 years with her record? Amy Wyrick has the worst prosecutorial record in the state. She cheats to win by hiding evidence and can't be trusted. Attorney Steve Mulroy will fight to end disparities and bias in the Shelby County criminal justice system. He will prioritize violent crimes and work to secure justice for the victim. Vote Steve Mulroy for district attorney. Paid for by People for Fairness and Justice PAC and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Barden Stone has been serving the Mid-South area for over 3 generations. What sets them apart and makes them a unique landscape stone center? They have one of the largest selections with a wide variety of colors and sizes, all the way from cobblestones to garden rock and pebbles from ground cover, plus fieldstone and flagstone, stepping stones and stacking stones, even landscape boulders. In addition to a wide variety of stones and rocks, Barden Stone staff is very knowledgeable. Whether you're a homeowner, contractor, design professional, Barden Stone can answer any question pertaining to the use of stones from A to Z. Barden Stone, they know stone inside and out. Barden Stone, 1 mile south of Park at 1557 Cherry Road. Barden Stone, open for you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Call 901-683-8264 and visit Barden Stone.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
Make them drive the car. Make them touch it. Feel it.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Yeah. 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 I fantasize about this back.
Tom Ackerman is the sports director at KMOX. He's the morning anchor for them. It's probably a better question to ask what he doesn't do than what he does do, because he's a network host for the Cardinals. College basketball play-by-play, hosts the Garage Happy Hour, does a whole lot. But he joins us now from St. Louis at Ackerman1120 is where you can find him on Twitter. Tom, how are you?
Doing well. We hit it now. We're under 24 hours from the deadline. So yeah, busy time for sure here in St. Louis and elsewhere.
How are the St. Louisans feeling right now? It's sort of calm before the storm, or is there less hope that something's going to happen?
I think Cardinals fans are very antsy right now, especially when they see 3 big deals go down today. Hader going to the Padres. You got Montas going to the Yankees. Mancini goes to the Astros. Mm-hmm. 3 pretty big deals that just went down, and 3 contenders, and the Cardinals consider themselves a contender, and their fans certainly do, and nothing has happened except for the smaller Edmundo Sosa trade over the weekend. So, yeah, I mean, it's all out there for the Cardinals. I mean, they can make any kind of deal they want with the prospects that they have. Now it's just a waiting game. I talked to John Mozeliak about it yesterday, and he felt like there was a lot of time still out there. At 5 o'clock Central on Tuesday, there was a lot still in front of the Cardinals, but you're seeing some players come off the board.
A lot of games left with Milwaukee, most of them at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, 3 coming up here in August, 2 more at home in the middle of September, and then 2 in Milwaukee toward the end of September. Tom, what about that deal with the Brewers today? I say thank you, Brewers. I mean, for the Cardinals not to have to see Hader in the bottom of a ninth, I think that's great.
I agree with you, except that I think Hader had started to slip a little bit. He's still a dominant closer, and the Cardinals have had their issues with him. Devin Williams is absolutely dominating, and you could put him in the St. Louis end in the back end of that bullpen and be just fine. And my first reaction, Brett, was that another move is coming for the Brewers. So, their first-place team, they can't just make this deal and that's it. Something else is coming to improve their club. The Padres definitely got better. And, now you're going to have to deal with them. If you face them in the postseason, you'll have to see Mr. Hader again. In fact, the Cardinals are going to go to San Diego in late September, in where they'll be in the middle of the division race, and they're going to have to deal with Hader again. So it's a deal that caught me a little bit by surprise, especially the fact that the Padres, I don't know that they gave up a huge haul. I mean, it's a nice haul for Milwaukee, but they didn't give up any prospects that they probably would be dealing for Juan Soto. Right. And so that, and when I first saw it, Hader to the Padres, I'm like, whoa. Did the Padres just give away? No, they didn't. So they're still in play for Soto if they want. Padres are always aggressive. this time of year. It's just unique. The first place team giving away their closer. I don't know that I've seen that in a long time.
Yeah, it's a half year rental more or less. Correct me if I'm wrong on that though, because Hader's done after this year on his current deal.
I think he's got a little bit more. If I'm not mistaken, I think it expires in 23. But
okay.
But he's got a little bit more on there. But still, I mean,
it's not a move that says, "Hey, we're going for it this year." It's not. It maybe makes sense in 2 years from now, but right this second doesn't make sense for a first place team.
Bit of a curious move. Now the Brewers do get Taylor Rogers, who I was listening to the Padres game on the radio yesterday, and they were making the point on the broadcast: don't give up on Taylor Rogers. He still could be a solid reliever for them, a lefty closer that the Brewers do get. I mean, he's a nice one. Dinelson Lamet, I think, is a nice pitcher too, and they get a couple of prospects out of the deal. But still, it's not a deal. If I'm a Brewers fan, I'm scratching my head thinking, whoa, what else is coming here? Hopefully something. Brewers have been a pretty smart team.
Right.
And I think a very proactive team over the last year. I mean, last year they were the envy of Cardinals fans because while the Cardinals were not patching up their pitching problems, the Brewers were making moves left and right. I mean, if they had an issue, boom, they fixed it. And they did it mid-season while the Cardinals did not. Now the Cardinals are in a situation where I think they have to make a deal for a pitcher or two tomorrow. And I think that they will. I'd be very surprised if the Cardinals don't have one or two pitchers, maybe even one or two starters in their rotation by Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm. Tom, I know you were really close, and he loved you, the late, great Lou Brock. And I said latter part of last week that if the trade for Juan Soto is made, it's the biggest in-season Cardinals trade ever, and that includes Mark McGwire in the summer of '97, and it includes Brock for Brolio because Lou Brock was largely unknown at that time. He was 25. Soto's been an all-star multiple times already and hadn't yet turned 24. Do you agree that it would be the blockbuster of all time?
I agree, depending on what they give up, of course, but still, I think that when you assume what they're going to give up would be top 2 or 3 prospects plus a major league ready player or two, it's going to be a pretty whopper of a deal you're going to have to give. But what you would be getting is one of the greatest players in baseball. I don't think anybody would argue. He's definitely top 5 and maybe top 3, Juan Soto. Yes, I mean I can't think of a deal in season that's better. Most of the deals that they've done have been off season, as you just mentioned. Brock for Brolio is the greatest trade of all time. They've dealt for Arenado and Willie McGee and Jim Edmonds, and they've had some really good ones, but those have been not during the regular season. Paul Goldschmidt would rank up there as pretty good. And Mozeliak's pulled off some really nice trades. Historically, in the Mozeliak era, they don't make trade deadline deals, big ones. So usually what they do is they swoop in there with a reliever or the biggest trade that he's probably made mid-season was 11 years ago, when he made that 6-player deal that involves Colby Rasmus, and the Cardinals got a load of pitchers out of the deal and Corey Patterson. But it was the pitchers that made the difference for them in their bullpen with Dotel and Dubchinski, and they added some depth to their rotation as well, and Edwin Jackson. That was a big deal that actually helped the Cardinals win the World Series. But other than that,
he sure did.
Talk about a headline guy, a billboard type person. That is Juan Soto. It's a unique opportunity, and I don't blame the Cardinals at all for looking into it. However aggressive or deep they really are, there's one. I'm not denying that they're going after him. I mean, there's one thing that you reveal publicly, and then there's another deal or two that you're working on privately, and you just never know what they're doing behind the scenes in addition to any other player. I would have to imagine that the Cardinals are in a mode right now where they're looking at everything because they have this season that they're never going to have again. You're never going to have a season again where you have 2 legendary players walking away from the game at the end of the year and another one, Adam Wainwright, who's close. You have 2 franchise-type players in Goldschmidt and Arenado in the prime of their career. And you have 7 of the top 100 prospects in baseball, plus that's not including Nolan Gorman and Dylan Carlson and all these others who are playing right now. So it's the Cardinals, I'm certain, recognize that and are weighing that option right now and deciding what's the healthiest thing. On one hand, I was just thinking about this before you called, that the Cardinals have been spooked, I think, a little bit by Randy Arozarena and Sandy Alcantara, and you just name them. I could go down the list of all these players that they've dealt away that have become really good. But that's also, I think, kind of works in their favor, because if you're trading with the Cardinals, you're probably thinking, gosh, every prospect these guys trade are great. Let's make a deal.
Grichuk, Voigt.
So that's not it's not a bad thing to have this reputation that you grow great talent. They can't always find places for all that talent, unfortunately.
And this week at Busch Stadium, I'm going to be hyperbolic again with a comment. If the news breaks and the Cardinals get Juan Soto, 3-game series against the Chicago Cubs, 3-game weekend series against the New York Yankees, tickets and downtown hotels will be impossible.
Yeah, you're also you'd be, if this happens, and again, the Padres, Dodgers,
right,
mystery teams, whoever else pursue. And by the way, I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility at all that he just stays with the Nationals, because Washington decides we are not getting enough for this guy. I mean, this is Juan Soto, franchise changer. We're offering him. We're not getting enough in return for him. We're keeping him. That could happen. But if he came to the Cardinals, yeah, I mean, the Cubs are in town, first of all. So the first team, presumably, that he faces is the Chicago Cubs, your forever rival. And then the team that has been in pursuit of everybody through the years, the New York Yankees, you'd be able to show them off against them. That's kind of fun to think about here in the beginning of August, in the dog days of summer. But I have learned over the years to manage my expectations and to not get too excited in any sport, let alone baseball, when it comes to the trade deadline. I actually had a luncheon today with a bunch of sports personalities, and we were all sitting around having fun talking, and I said, I love the day before the deadline. It's a magical day. You can dream big, and then usually deadline day reality hits. Right. And you can't make all the deals that you wish you could make, but it is fun. It's nerve-wracking for everybody involved, I think, but it is a lot of fun.
So a different thought here, because we as people that follow the Cardinals, we see the offseason is when they usually get these big deals done, these big Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. Let's say Soto does. Let's say he stays with the Nats this year, extends into the offseason. You think that could favor the Cardinals in any way, shape, or form?
If Soto stays with the Nationals, the Cardinals, that would mean that they landed a pitcher or two, and good ones at the deadline.
Okay.
I don't know that you can win the World Series with just Juan Soto. I think that you have to make a deal for a pitcher or two. You've got to establish this rotation if you're the Cardinals and you want to make a run in the postseason. So if Soto does not come here, and Soto stays with the Nationals and doesn't go to one of the contenders, Padres or Dodgers, yeah, I mean, that's good. If he goes to the Padres or Dodgers, good luck. I mean, you got to run through them, and the fact that they're ultra talented. Although I'm not so sure the Padres, even though they added Hader today, do they have enough in their rotation to make a run and go all the way? We'll see. The Cardinals don't right now. They just don't. They have Wainwright and Michaelis. Love them. We know that they can go deep into games. The jury is out on whether Dakota Hudson has it back or not. And then Andre Palante, God bless him. I mean, he had a phenomenal start yesterday in Washington. Phenomenal. But how much more can he give you realistically? 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks tops? So if you go into the postseason, what is your rotation looking like? It looks like Michaelis and Wainwright to me, and then question mark. So you have to make deals for starters right now if you're the Cardinals. You've got to do it. Maybe I'm just throwing some names out there that have already been reported, but maybe you take a run at a pitcher like Nathan Eovaldi of the Red Sox. He would be a perfect fit. Postseason pitcher, tough, throws hard, strikeout pitcher. He would fit the profile, exactly what they need right now. Would they go and try to take a shot at Noah Syndergaard? Bring him in. Guy throws hard, knows the National League, no fear whatsoever. would that be somebody that would be a good fit for them? And then suddenly, how does that rotation look? A lot different. So, yeah, it's not the end of the world if they don't get Soto, but you better have bolstered your rotation. And I wouldn't mind a reliever either, but definitely the rotation.
And, Tom, there's the chance that if Juan Soto is not dealt in the next 24 hours and 43 minutes, then into the offseason, the Nationals could wait and see what the Yankees do or don't do with Aaron Judge, and then you'd look up easily. If Judge moved on, Soto's in the Bronx somehow, some way.
Yeah, you're right. And I think baseball needs a good, splashy offseason. I mean, I've been so bored with the last several off seasons in baseball. Last year was the lockout that didn't move the needle at all. In fact, it threatened the game. And spring training started late. The year before that, and the year before that, of course, you're dealing with COVID. But even before that, I just felt like there just wasn't enough excitement. You got the NBA. As soon as their season is over, everyone's speculating who's going where. The NFL, people are talking about the NFL constantly. Even the NHL, the trade rumors fly all the time.
Wait till we start having trades in college football, Tom.
Can we? Yeah, exactly. Can we have one off season where Major League Baseball has some mega stars switching teams? That doesn't bother me at all. I grew up, as you guys did, in an era where players stayed forever. It doesn't happen anymore. The baseball needs some chatter. They need some excitement. They need an off season of rumors and fun, and I wouldn't mind that at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely understand that. Now, this is sort of for both of you. I'm curious, when we look at who's going to make all these moves at the trade deadline, I look at the Padres as a whole. How good are the Padres going to be in the NFL when it's all said and done? You add Hader, just signed Joe Musgrove to a long-term extension. You have the lineup with Manny Machado. Certainly Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to return at some point. It feels like the Padres could make a good run at this thing in the NL.
Yeah, I think they're good. I think Hader definitely helps the bullpen. I think they have a nice team, good lineup. They are haunted by the Dodgers, and then last year they just, completely fell apart, and the Cardinals actually were the team that took them out. So, they eventually have got to find a way to get back to where they were. Good town, good baseball town. My sister lives there. I've spent a lot of time out there. In fact, I'm thinking about going there in September for that Cardinals series, not only because I think it'll be an important series for the Cardinals, but I wouldn't mind just hanging out in San Diego a little bit.
It's a good place. Good place to be.
I think it's a fun club, and I think they have a shot. But if I were to guess right now, minus Soto and minus a stellar rotation, I think it's fine. I still think the Dodgers are the cream of the crop in that division. I look at the New York Mets, and I see a lot of excitement out of that team. I think that in the Central, these are the underdog teams with the Brewers and Cardinals. We'll see what they do at the deadline and how the Cardinals have a history of making a little run. It could be a fun National League, and the Padres are in the mix, but I don't see them head and shoulders above anybody just yet. But the Hader move's a nice one for them.
Just sort of this is a question that Brett and I have discussed on several occasions. You brought up the Dodgers at the top of that NL West. Has it been kind of unfulfilled? They've been spending all this money. They've been throwing money at everybody in the offseason. They've been making trade deadline moves last year.
They've been the best team in baseball for 5 years. Got one title,
and they've got the one title. And it was the bubble. It was the shortened season. Do you think it's been unfulfilled for them?
Yeah, I think to a point. Yeah, I mean, you want to hang banners, you want to win championships. So yeah, I do. I think that they have great tradition. I know that they get knocked for late arriving fans and sleepy fans sometimes, but man, I've been there during the playoffs. That place rocks. Right. That is an outstanding atmosphere during the postseason, and so they'll be amped up this year and antsy to win for sure. There'll be a lot of edge around that team. I have always said, it must be nice to be a Dodger fan. Oh, we need an outfielder. Let's just bring in this
right, exactly.
Yeah, we'll just say, we need another pitcher. Max Scherzer, come on over. Let's get you
get
in.
Trey Turner.
Trey. Yeah, we need a shortstop. Let's just go get Trey Turner. Yeah, I mean, so it is a franchise that has made some earth-shaking moves, but I look at it just like I look at the Yankees. The Yankees have the ability to do anything that they want. They have a great fan base, great atmosphere during the postseason, as I just described with LA. And that's a team that hasn't been to the World Series since 2009. Haven't even been there. They won it in 2009, but haven't been back, and that is a long time for them. I was just there in the Bronx, and they are going to lose their minds if they don't make it to the World Series or win it. So, yeah, that is another one. You're talking about a lot of headline dominating games and teams. The New York Mets, probably another one, but they're always going to be little brother in New York. But they're another team that certainly could be a team that will win. Is this team actually going to do it? Now they have ownership that wants to spend. Steve Cohen wants to win this thing, and he's spending money to do it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, after a while, you wonder. Going back to your question about the Dodgers, when will it? I think winning that championship, even though it was not a full season, it had to have been.
It's a championship.
They still were. Everybody had to play the same amount of games, and they won it.
Right.
And they won it fair and square. But this is a team, and I put the Cardinals in there too. Even though the Cardinals are not a big market team and they don't throw a lot of money around, but they draw very well. They have a very demanding fan base, and you're starting to hear it around here. They haven't won since 2011, and haven't been back to the World Series in 13. People are ready, and they want this team to get back. And I think just circling back to our conversation about John Mozeliak in the front office and everything else, there is some pressure because of this unique situation that they're in to do it right now and get this thing done and at least get yourself back into a position to do it.
No question. No question. I agree with that wholeheartedly. He is Tom Ackerman from KMOX in St. Louis at Ackerman1120 on Twitter. Tom, always appreciate it, man. Let's do it again soon.
Great talking to you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. Tom Ackerman from KMOX. And today he is celebrating to the day 25 years as a part of KMOX, and he has made a great sports town even better. So very thoughtful and a lot higher road about the Dodgers than I am, isn't he?
At least he counts it.
He's a better guy than I am.
He's not an asterisk guy. And he brought up the point, and I was just thinking about this while he was saying it. He brought up the Yankees and how rabid they are from not being in the World Series since 2009. How much worse do you think the ESPN documentary, The Captain, the Derek Jeter documentary, is hurting that fan base right this second?
And how
glory
good is that?
days of the 21st century.
And how good is that documentary?
Oh,
it is not helping. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road and online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience you have every time. All the cars test driven, checked out bumper to bumper, head to toe, thoroughly examined. Unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find that special car just for you. You'll be treated like family at DeSoto Auto Sales by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, but they care about your time, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You walk in within 45 minutes, find the car you want, credit approved, paperwork completed, you're out of there. They know we live in a world today that time really matters, and that's why they have it so simplified and so streamlined for you. You can do it over your busy lunch hour and plenty of time to do it after work, like right now at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Check out the cars, check out the testimonials online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. But get down to DeSoto Auto Sales in DeSoto County for that town and country experience you've come to know, love, and trust.
About 30 minutes left in the show. In about 25, we're going to get to Taco Bell Crunch Time, but we're going to come back with what's trending. We'll do that next on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors, and I have to really congratulate Hugh Mallory, who is also with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors, for using his hunting skills when it comes to finding homes for his clients.
Thanks, Sheldon. Yes, I get them into their hunting gear by getting them pre-qualified with a local lender. Then we stalk the prey. We go on the hunt into the multiple listing service, as well as other internet sites that other hunters, other agents, don't use. And once we find what we're hunting, we make the offer to beat other agents out there in the field.
Hugh, that's all well and good. But what do you do once you get the house?
Well, we can't very well mount it on the wall, but our clients will be living in their dream home while everyone else is still hunting.
Remember, while you Mallory moves Memphis at 497-9756, when you want the job done, call Shell Done at memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. Do it now. memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546.
I don't know. Can you just pick something and order? Yeah, but anyway, where are you at? You don't...
It only takes 2 seconds of distracted driving to become a statistic. You can lose your driving privileges, your vehicle, face jail time, or even lose or take a life. Slow down, Memphis. The life you save may be your own. Brought to you by the Memphis Police Department, Traffic Operations.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Barks now offers you just about everything you need for your furry family member. Daycare, luxury boarding, award-winning grooming, veterinary checkups, diagnostic services including digital x-ray, fluoroscopy and ultrasound, complete dental service, vaccinations, preventative care for fleas, ticks, and heartworms, and just about any needed surgical treatment. And did I mention that we treat cats and all types of exotic pets? We are the newest member of the Barks family and the newest, most high-tech veterinary hospital in the Mid-South. Located directly across the street from Barks and Recreation, we are a full-service hospital with a fantastic, experienced staff. If you're having problems getting a timely appointment at your current vet's facility, we are here to serve you. Call us at 901-979-8888. Barks and Medication. Excellence in veterinary care.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
Let's talk some numbers here.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
I used to feel so devastated. At times I thought we'd never make it. But now we on our way to greatness. And all that ever took was patience. Okay, just getting better each day.
Back rolling. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and with Stats. I'm Gabe. He's Stats. About 30 minutes left in the show. Hit us up. Autos on listener lines 901-360-8255. Get in the zone. AutoZone. You can follow Matt. Matt has a text about Deshaun Watson. He says Deshaun Watson is not a good person. He should not be playing. And anything he wins from here on out will be discussed and argued. I think absolutely. I agree with everything you have to say. As far as the playing part, it comes down to evidence, and it's on a different scale, and the precedence that has been set in the NFL has been that of 4 to 6 games, and that's sort of what it is. But I do agree with the fact anything he wins from here on out will be discussed and argued and discussed again and again and again. It's just what it has become. Everything surrounding Deshaun Watson.
One place he will be beloved. Well, 2. Back at college at Clemson, and if he's the quarterback that delivers for the Cleveland Browns, never even been in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think so, yes, but it's just we're talking about 25 civil cases, sexual misconduct, sexual assault. I don't have to keep saying it, but you know what I mean.
Who in sports has survived?
A lot.
I'm
Ray Lewis.
trying to think.
When it comes to very serious accusations, there's a lot of guys that have survived and thrived in this situation. But this is like the pure quantity of it and what it is. It's just it's something you can't outrun. And I think even with Ray Lewis,
the number.
I think even with Ray Lewis,
and that was a trial.
And yes, and he was not convicted. Now, I think even with Ray Lewis, there's still some people that will come back and discuss what Ray Lewis did in his past and what happened in the nightclub that night. So I mean. It's just always hard, no matter who you are, to outrun what you've done if you've done something that people perceive as wrong. or is wrong completely. So we'll see where that goes. Out of the NFL, couple of other things. We do have positive COVID-19 tests. Whoopee. Yay. I'm just kidding.
Still doing that, huh?
Completely joking. But Kyler Murray tested positive for COVID-19 right after getting his contract. That's just what he needed at this moment, huh? And then also Pete Carroll tested positive for COVID-19. And this just does bring up the question. I'm glad you said it. At what point are we going to stop reporting every singular case of COVID-19? Like, at what point is this going to stop being a tweet sent out by Adam Schefter every single time someone tests positive? Because it just feels like the NFL.
I would have thought by now.
And the NFL, I feel like, has moved away from their protocols. Most leagues have moved away from the protocols unless they have a team in Canada, like the MLB does and the NBA
I know for
does.
sure when they'll move away from them, you get close to playoff time.
I tend to agree with you. If it's going to really affect something of note, I think they'll move away from it. But it's just every time, and I know it's camp right now, so it's not going to matter all that much in the grand scheme of things. If you're getting COVID now. But
positive keeps a big name out of a Super Bowl. I get no chance.
But I still find it bizarre that it's still being reported the way it is. So-and-so tested positive again and
Gabe,
again and again.
It is still being reported with all the gusto of March 25th, 2020.
Well, okay. I'll disagree with that. Not the same gusto, but there's still some. I mean, like the fact
it's
that
close.
The fact that every single time someone tests positive, it has to be put out there and thrown out there. A sickness is a sickness at this point. I understand COVID-19 is still something on the collective minds of all of us after all we went through, but I just don't think it has to be that way still. We've got the preventative measures. We've gone through the protocols. We can't go back into lockdown, so let's move forward.
Thankfully, isn't the president a good example of that?
Caught it twice.
Yeah, and it's going to be fine, and
he's
almost 80 years old.
I was say he's advanced age. Yes.
Thankfully, he's okay.
Yes. So I hope we can move past that. But Kyler Murray and Pete Carroll. Also, Steelers offensive coordinator Matt Canada was on 93.7 The Fan this morning. And I hope you saw this because this made me laugh. But obviously that's Pittsburgh's sort of flagship station for sports in that market. And Matt Canada.
Sound like 70 Zoo Radio.
He said that Mason Rudolph has a, quote, great shot at winning the starting job for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He does?
This is their OC talking. If that happens, Brett, this will be a losing season. I've seen the book's out on Mason Rudolph. Like I know what he is. He makes mistakes. He's not very good. Can't push the ball downfield. It's been shown.
And a little skittish about doing all that.
And a little skittish. And everybody remembers him for the on-field incident with Myles Garrett.
He caught one right in the dome, didn't he?
Yes, and honestly, that year, oh God, would that have been 2019 when he really
Thursday
got to
night
play?
Game.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Duck Hodges arguably led that team better than he did. And Duck Hodges he's not even on a roster, an active roster anywhere right now. And it's training camp. So, Matt Canada, you can say he's got a chance at the starting job, but he better not win it if you want to be taken seriously. And the NFL, and something tells me, and I know Mike Tomlin has sort of stuck by him for better or worse this whole time. Something tells me Mike Tomlin would step in at the end and be like, hey, we drafted a guy 20th overall. We have a guy that we went and picked up. Well, at least let's just throw in this guy to get live
Toss
bullets.
it 22, play action to the tight end.
If Mitch Trubisky sucks that bad, throw in Kenny Pickett just so he can get some live game experience and have the bullets.
But you don't want to wreck him because you can wreck a young quarterback.
And they do not have a good O-line, which is scary because I've seen that a million different times where the quarterback starts getting those happy feet. Those happy feet are never fun.
How much of camp did you watch over the weekend? I know the answer to this because we were texting back and forth about it. It was way too early on Saturday morning. We were texting camp news.
More than I want to admit, but yes, I watched a bunch of camp news. So
and I enjoyed it.
And
I saw hitting today.
Okay, let me ask you.
I saw Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau get after it, and that's two large men.
I've been seeing the Chargers camp. I've been watching Khalil Mack and Rashawn Slater. That's been really fun.
Camp.
That's been really fun.
Gabe, I'll tell you, I am really.
What's the highlight of your training camp watching this weekend?
The Raiders.
And
me falling hard for them. Me falling for them to win the West and be the 1 seed.
Really?
I said it.
Okay. I think that's a step farther than I want to go. Yeah. I got to be honest.
I'm not opposed to being reeled in.
And I'll say this. I hate the fact for the Raiders this year. And it doesn't matter. These are Vegas odds. In the end of the day, a couple of games could change the odds completely. But them being dead last to as far as longest odds to win the AFC West is not fair.
I know.
To me. I don't like that because I just think they're better than that. And they've done some things on the defensive side of the ball to try to address some of the issues. They signed Max Crosby to a long-term deal. They bring in Chandler Jones off the other edge. They got some guys on that side of the ball, and that's the big question because offensively there's no issues.
My other August 1st fascination with the team?
Who?
Can't believe I'm saying it.
Then say
the Cowboys.
That's right.
Okay, what's different about what's up? Okay, let me ask.
It's a new year, Gabe.
New year, new team.
It's not really a new team.
Team on 3.
It's not a new team.
New year, new team.
You can say that all you want. It's not though. It's literally the same team minus Randy Gregory.
New year, new coach.
And Amari Cooper. It's not a new coach either.
No, not a new coach either.
He's in better shape though this year.
Yeah. Why the Cowboys? And I understand they're going to be at the top of the NFC East, but what about them this year is intriguing compared to last year? Nothing to me.
They get that running game going. It makes Dak unstoppable.
But that O-line's aging, and it's been aging for some time now.
And it used to be the highlight of the team. Boy, isn't that something how that works? When it was clicking, you couldn't get the other stuff going.
And now that it's sort of
done,
slowly,
you can get the
slowly
other stuff
fading
going,
away, the other stuff's
need
fine.
a line.
I guess if they can get that run game going, but Zeke Elliott, it didn't work that much last year. And this may not be a popular take, especially in former teammate of mine. I know a lot of people that are Cowboys fans say, put Tony Pollard in there. Make him the full-time guy. Let him run the ball a lot more. I still think Zeke Elliott's their best shot to get that run game consistent.
I do too, but Tony Pollard is a good change of pace guy.
Great, and I think even more because I hear that too, Brett. And I think yes, for the Cowboys, he's perfect change of pace. I think in the right situation, he could be more of an every down back. The only thing
for Tony Pollard, he ought to like this because that means more on the back end and the money's not going down.
And I think he'd make a little bit more money because he can also get out in the slot and catch passes. The one thing he's missing, and he has been missing, that he never really got to learn even in college, is pass protection. The pass protection part of the whole deal as a running back's not quite there for him. And Zeke Elliott's one of the better pass protecting running backs in the entire NFL. And people say, oh, that's a small part of the game. It's a big part of the game when you have Dak Prescott and a good wide receiving core.
Yeah, for a running back in pass protection, is it commitment to it, or can you teach someone that hasn't been doing it how to do it?
I think it's about being big enough. It's about being physical enough and about wanting to do it. And I think Tony, I still think he's a little too slight right this second to really take on a blitzing Dante Hightower or a blitzing Micah Parsons from the inside. That's a tough
I rewatched the
him.
Sugar Bowl. I rewatched the Sugar Bowl early Sunday morning, and especially for Luke Altmaier, it was some
free rushes,
just swing and misses on blitz pickup. The Ole Miss running backs.
And you know what I used to hate is getting blamed for that as an offensive lineman. You get blamed for the running back not filling and take. There's extra guys.
I think
sometimes.
That's the first thing I did post game. Offensive line had a tough night tonight. No, it didn't.
It was the running back.
I mean, it was some Jerry and Ely, just pure whiffs.
And again, when you look at Jarian, probably not the biggest dude. A little bit slight to be taken on a 6'3", 240-pound linebacker.
Going right through him.
It's just tough for him. And he can get in the way all he wants, but getting in the way almost hurts sometimes because they'll press you right back into the quarterback and make that pocket even smaller. So that's the only thing missing from Tony Pollard being the every down back for the Cowboys because they asked their running back. They asked Zeke Elliott to take a lot.
Who did you fall in love with watching?
I've stayed with the Chargers. That's the team I'm falling in love with. And I just think that, a couple years ago, you were worried about O-line. You're not worried about that anymore. Rashawn Slater's fantastic on the left side. And also, point that people are not bringing up as much, he's going against Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa every day. He's going to be a killer by the time we get to season. By the time we get to year 3, year 4, he'll be one of the best tackles in the league as long as health is beneficial to him. So I like what they have on O-line. And then defensively, just take your pick. Besides Derwin James not being out there, J.C. Jackson, my man Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, all these guys are going to be fantastic. The only question I'd have about them is the run defense. Can they stop the run? Because they didn't last year, and that was their downfall. And also, I think coaching was their downfall in a lot of situations.
Do you have an NFL team, Gabe?
No, I don't. Nope.
I don't either. And I can watch the NFL without any heart. And I mean, I like the Raiders and I like the Raider history and all that stuff. But when I say that, it's because I'm falling in love with it. Same with the Cowboys. I think a time or two I've kind of tried to be a Cowboy fan, but I've never been one. I just don't have an NFL team, but I love pro football.
I get a kick out of people asking me, like, why aren't you a Rams fan anymore? Do I really have to answer that question when it comes to, like, St. Louis to L.A.?
I think it should speak for itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How many times on this show have we talked about Kroenke and him being one of the worst guys in sports? Okay? I mean,
and how it was at the end. I mean, it wasn't like at the end that was Marshall Faulk and Bruce and Holt.
It was purposefully tanking to have an excuse to leave town and still
like
not
the Oakland A's are doing now.
And still not having the excuse fully made up. Okay, raise $1 billion. They raise $1 billion. No, we need 1.5. Okay, they raise 1.5. No, we need 2. So it was never going to. It was bad faith. Right. It was bad faith negotiations, and it's just hard to. And I'm not
to LA.
I'm not killing LA Rams fans. You can be a fan of them, and they were there before. I get all of that, but for a St. Louis Rams fan, it's kind of hard to attach yourself to that bunch. It is what it is, though. And I know I've been on my soapbox for the past minute. So thanks for bearing with me.
One thing I think people will see this year: Justin Fields is going to be great. He has no help.
I hate that, but it's true. Darnell Mooney on the outside.
They spent nothing. They added nothing for him. Why do him like that?
They did not try, and that's just sort of what we've come.
He may be good enough to win 6 games for that bunch, but I don't know.
Haven't we grown accustomed to the Bears, especially in this day and age? Like really, I don't know. Since the Jay Cutler years, they just don't spend enough money or try to be great.
I do not mean this as a Cardinal hack shot. I don't. I really don't. Bears sure do spend a lot of time talking about 85, don't they?
Yeah, it's hard not to when you haven't won much since. So
I mean, it's not 1908 that was a shot, but a long time ago.
Well, they have not had success really since. I mean, Rex Grossman, you can call
Super
success.
Bowl with Lovey, NFC Championship game when Cutler was air quotes here hurt.
Yeah, but 85 is all they. That's all they got, Brett. What do you expect?
Dave, that Monday, if he was breathing, he needed to go in and try a play.
For sure. All right, let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, it'll be time for Taco Bell Crunch Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
The summer clearance sale is happening now at Family Leisure. You can get up to $2,000 off on a swimming pool. Yes, you heard me. $2,000 off on swimming pools. Get it installed in 2022. You'll be ready for summer 2023. Plus, if you are more of a do-it-yourselfer, Family Leisure has specials that are just too good to pass up, with free ladder upgrades and a whole season worth of chemicals. No one else can offer that kind of deal. Looking for patio furniture? In-stock sets are up to 30% off. Play gyms and trampolines, you can get up to $1,000 off with free installation. We don't know how long these hot temperatures will last, but we do know these prices will not. So take advantage of the summer clearance sale. It's happening right now at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Wooden Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5 Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5 Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5 Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Sunrise Buick GMC is having their annual tent sale, and the selection and savings are bigger than ever. A huge selection to choose from, big discounts and factory rebates high as $2,000. It's okay if you've got slow credit. Sunrise has over $100 million available for immediate financing with interest low as 0%. An $18 million used car inventory. And remember, Sunrise specializes in cars and trucks under $10,000. See them all at sunrisememphis.com. Savings and fun for all ages. The 34th annual tent sale going on at all Sunrise locations. Covington, Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain, knee pain, joint pain? Listen carefully, because now there are new regenerative treatments available here. Hi, this is Greg Gaston. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, is now open, giving lasting relief to people with joint pain, using the latest in precision medicine with natural biologics. It's an exciting non-surgical approach that can restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints and get you moving again. QC Kinetics has over 100 clinics nationwide and has treated thousands of patients with an incredible success and satisfaction rate. If you've got pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, you need to check out these new treatments. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, no surgery. Call now to schedule your free consultation with the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 901-445-1010. That's 901-445-1010. 901-445-1010.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
I couldn't believe it either, but that thing runs like new.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
My nail tech knows how to keep it a little secret. I don't wish for my success, I speak it. I caught a buzz and you did too, but you tweaking. I look like I've been getting money, how reeking.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye!
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
A couple of things before I really tell you what I learned today. But the Astros, looks like they're finalizing a deal to acquire Christian Vasquez from the Red Sox, trying to get another catcher in there. And also Tommy Pham is looking to be moved. Do we have a final say on who it's going to be?
No,
he's always in a deal.
Yeah, reportedly he's been traded, but we do not know the team yet. So don't know how that happens, but
okay,
that's
I
journalism
guess,
for you.
I guess we'll figure.
Has
figure it
anybody
out.
checked with Jock Peterson in their fantasy football league?
That's a good question.
That'd be pretty cool if they ended up next to each other. That'd be fun.
Would it?
Yeah. Well, no, that was terrible, wasn't it? It was not
bad.
fun. It was
Pretty
not
bad.
fun to follow.
Two grown men fighting over fantasy football.
Well, hey, I can vouch that fantasy football can get testy if you have the wrong people leading it. But it shouldn't come to blows.
No.
On a MLB field, you shouldn't be slapping anybody for it. I think that's pretty ridiculous, especially in the off season of fantasy football when there's really no.
I've had to be driven home from the draft before, but
yeah. What I learned today, though, Tiger football gets another commitment over the weekend from 3-star athlete Christian Ross from Alabama. But that makes them the 47th best overall recruiting class according to Rivals. And this would be it would tie last year's class for the best in history if it holds. Now, we'll see if it holds. But you talk about 6-6 last year. It's tough. But based on recruiting and based on their roster makeup compared to the rest of the AAC, there's always going to be with Ryan Silverfield the wait till next year mentality. Now, he needs to fix it this year. He's got to get more than 6 wins, and he's got to get to another bowl game. But these are numbers that Justin Fuente definitely couldn't do, and Mike Norvell couldn't do even. And I thought he did a good job recruiting. So good job by Ryan Silverfield this weekend.
We got a month to get fired up for Tigers football, and that Mississippi State opener will help a lot. I learned over the weekend almost 20,000 at AutoZone Park Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Would have had another 6,000, 6,500 yesterday except for the rain. Sunday's rain out cost them on that. So we know some fans are still out there. How do we get them back at AutoZone Park regularly? You're not going to have Yadier Molina strolling through there for a few games every year. We know that. Here's what needs to be done. First of all, clean the place. Second, slash concessions. Reach out and get on the air somewhere over the air radio where people will know you're in town, and open up a ticket office at the ballpark. It's been impossible for a lot of people to figure out how to get tickets. You cannot walk up to AutoZone Park and buy a ticket to the game that's getting ready to start.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. It's really been tough. And I think there's other things around the ballpark that need to be fixed as well. Need to handle the Jumbotron and clean it up a little bit. But no, I agree with your sentiment there. I really do. Also, what I could have done without. It is August 1, guys. It's the first August. I don't know if you knew.
That happened fast, didn't it?
Sure did.
And Lamar Jackson still has not signed a long-term extension with the Ravens. What? I mean, at some point, he's going to have to decide that he wants to get this thing done, because it sounds like the Ravens want to get it done. I don't know how long or how short they want to make this contract based on how much he runs, but it is August 1st. We're about to get into the preseason, and Lamar Jackson is still dealing with extension negotiations back and forth.
It was yesterday. It was January 1st, and I was at the Sugar Bowl. How did August 1st get here this fast?
I don't know. I'm happy it got here fast.
And the best time of the year is on the way. I could have done without the disrespect the stars of the past sometimes that they're subjected to. I bet J.J. Redick would not say today about Bob Cousy what his funny line. I know it gets a lot of laughs. And I said earlier, Bill Russell was on most of those Cousy teams. So if you're running down Cousy, you're running down Bill Russell as well. And I don't think that would be very funny today. It gets laughs from a bunch of tools, but I think it's very disrespectful when people do that. Are the players better today? There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm. Now, what we're looking forward to tonight, I'm ready to see some Mariners versus Yankees action. Marco Gonzalez versus Domingo Germán.
I'm not.
Do you think it's going to go bad?
Max Scherzer back in
D.C.
tonight.
Right now. Yeah, he is.
Dodgers versus Giants late tonight on MLB Network. That should be fun. The ESPN game tonight. Red Sox Astros. Red Sox.
Speaking of the Red Sox, Tommy Pham to Boston.
Okay, that's what it is?
Yep, just reported by Jeff Passan.
Big time Tommy Pham.
Well done.
He's been everywhere the last few years, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Sure
I feel like he rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
He does.
He does, yeah.
I don't know if he's the happiest camper, but they're still dead last, the Red Sox, in the AL East. But that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to David Kopp and Tom Ackerman for their contributions to the program. For Brett, for Brian, I'm Gabe. Enjoy your night and be safe. We'll talk to you tomorrow.